Chapter 793. The corner of the middle-aged man's mouth twitched, his face was filled with shock. He had personally cast the formation to suppress the cultivation of the person inside to the harmonious spirit realm. In other words, the opponent had defeated the golden feather divine condor with a single strike while being only at the spirit detecting realm. This was simply too shocking. The black-robed man's face was even more ferocious. As a mysterious beast tamer, he was able to tame ferocious demonic beasts. Just now, he had successfully controlled the golden feather divine condor and made it go berserk. However, he couldn't change the outcome. He couldn't bear it, he wanted revenge. Gritting his teeth, the black-robed man quickly formed a seal, his eyes revealing a trace of madness. Since he couldn't defeat it, he would perish together. In the next moment, the golden feather divine condor let out a miserable cry. Its voice was like a devil's voice, piercing through the clouds. On its body, countless golden demonic chi surged and began to burn. It was extremely strange. Those golden eyes were filled with pain and madness. What's going on? Did the golden feather divine condor not lose? It still wants to counterattack? Everyone was stunned, they couldn't believe it. Lin Xian's eyes were gloomy. He could naturally see that this wasn't the golden feather divine condor's intention. It was the beast tamer's doing. Boom! The golden feather divine condor couldn't bear it anymore. Its body gradually expanded, and it crashed towards Lin Xian. It looked like it wanted to perish together. Humph! Lin Xian snorted, his soul force gushed out crazily, turning into a soul sword, quickly slashing towards the void. This time, he didn't hold back. Puff! The invisible attack seemed to have cut some kind of mysterious thread, causing a slight cracking sound. In the next moment, the golden feather divine condor's eyes regained clarity, its body gradually stopped. As for the black-robed man, his body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Impossible! He couldn't stop trembling, his eyes were filled with fear. The opponent's soul force could actually hurt him. This was completely out of his expectation. Fear, it was all fear. At this moment, the black-robed man was extremely frightened. He didn't dare to attack again. Moreover, he didn't have the ability to attack anymore. Soul Force's attack was extremely strange and dangerous. The slightest carelessness could cost one's life. That sword strike just now had already seriously injured him. He probably wouldn't be able to fight for a few months. The middle-aged man was even more shocked. He knew the strength of this black-robed man. He was a very powerful beast tamer, and his family had spent a lot of money to invite him. But now, he was actually injured. We can't let him go. This kid definitely has secrets on him. The black-robed man struggled to speak. Every word he spoke was filled with pain, and his brow furrowed. At such a young age, it was impossible for him to have such powerful soul force. This little brat must have some kind of soul force artifact on him. He had to snatch it. Hearing this, the middle-aged man's eyes flickered with greed. Soul force was the most difficult type of energy to cultivate. Apart from exalted realm experts, soul force would be able to grow a little. It was very difficult for other cultivators to find a way to cultivate it. Even a venerable one might not have a cultivation technique that specialized in soul power. And now, there seemed to be an opportunity. Thinking of this, he sneered again. Inside the cage, Lin Xian severed the beast tamer's control with a single slash of his sword, saving the golden feathered divine eagle from death. Then, he walked in front of the eagle and said coldly, I know that with your intelligence, you should be able to understand what I'm saying. Are you willing to come with me? The golden feathered divine eagle lay weakly on the ground. At this moment, when it heard Lin Xian's words, its golden eyes flickered. Without any hesitation, it quickly nodded. Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. He took out a cup of spiritual wine and fed it to it. Not long after, the golden feathered divine eagle stood up. It flapped its wings and came to Lin Xian's side. Then, it used its head to rub against Lin Xian intimately. All right, follow me. In the future you will definitely surpass the extraordinary level. Lin Xian patted it. Let's go! He turned around and walked outside. However, in the next moment, he frowned because the door of the cage did not open. Even the blue array outside did not disappear. The people outside were also in an uproar. Lin Xian had successfully subdued the golden-feathered divine eagle, which shocked them. Quite a few people cheered and cheered for him. After all, in this world, people worship the strong. However, what shocked them was that Lin Xian seemed to be trapped in the cage and could not come out. As for the people of the Warbeast Castle, they did not make any moves. It seemed that they had no intention of releasing the captive. For a moment, the atmosphere became a little strange. Ling Yu and Chen Dis sneered malevolently. Originally, Lin Xian's subduing of the golden-feathered divine eagle made them feel uncomfortable and disgraced. But now, they were no longer afraid because they wanted to make him stay here forever. Hee, so what if you have the golden-feathered divine eagle? You will just die with it! Shinda's face was distorted. In the cage, Lin Xian frowned and turned to look at the Warbeast Castle. What do you mean? You can't bear to part with it, or you can't afford to lose. Young hero, you misunderstood. The middle-aged man smiled and said, After the competition just now, we found that the golden-feathered divine eagle is very abnormal and has a tendency to destroy. For your safety, we have to take the golden-feathered divine eagle back first. After ensuring your safety, we will give it to you. In front of everyone, the middle-aged man acted like a good person and said with concern, Are you sure it's safe? Lin Xian smiled. I don't need it. Hurry up and guard the door. How could he not know the other party's plan? They probably wanted to renege on the debt. That won't do. After all, this demonic beast came from our Warbeast Castle. If it injures you, it will not be good for our castle's reputation. The middle-aged man slowly said, Yeah, the Divine Wind Warbeast Castle pays great attention to safety, so you should wait for a while. Ling Yu walked out. After ensuring your safety, we will certainly give it to you. Oh, by the way, young hero, please move. Let us properly entertain you. The people of the Warbeast Castle smiled and said. Their words carried a hint of coldness. The surrounding martial artists were shocked. This was obviously the Warbeast Castle trying to renege on the debt. Moreover, they had bad intentions. Thinking of this, everyone sighed. It seemed that the scholar was in danger. After all, no matter how powerful he was, he would not be able to fight against a huge Warbeast Castle. Bang! The blue array blossomed with rays of light and formed countless blue light pillars. They quickly fell and trapped the golden-feathered divine eagle. The golden-feathered divine eagle was furious. It quickly charged forward but to no avail. It was unable to rush out. You guys want to fight? Lin Xian asked coldly. How could that be? We are just thinking about your safety. We have good intentions. Although the middle-aged man was smiling, his laughter was very cold. I think you should agree. Don't let down the Warbeast Castle's good intentions. Ling Yu also revealed a trace of evil smile. Don't worry, we will finish the inspection soon. At that time, we will certainly return the golden-feathered divine eagle to you. Now, take the golden-feathered divine eagle away. The middle-aged man shouted coldly. Soon after, the huge blue array blossomed with rays of light and formed a big blue hand. It quickly grabbed the trapped golden-feathered divine eagle. Chapter 794. Lin Xian had successfully captured the golden-feathered divine condor, but the Warbeast Castle did not let him go. This scene was beyond everyone's expectations. Especially when the big blue hand was about to grab the golden-feathered divine condor, it caused an uproar. Many people were furious. They did not believe the Warbeast Castle's nonsense. Lin Xian naturally did not believe it either. His face was gloomy, and his eyes turned cold. I'll say it again. Let it go and open the prison door. Boom! While his voice was still echoing, the blue light in the sky shone brightly, forming 6 huge light pillars. Together with the ground, it formed a hexagram-sealed space, enveloping Lin Xian. Young hero, don't be anxious. Wait here for a while. The middle-aged man revealed a sinister smile. There might be danger during the inspection later, so we'll put down the defensive formation to protect you. Protect? Even the onlookers' mouths twitched. How was this protection? This was obviously imprisonment. However, when Lin Xian saw the ceiling light formation around him, he laughed as if he had just heard a funny joke. However, his eyes were cold, like a sharp sword, incomparably fierce. You guys really think you've got me? Young hero, why do you think so? The middle-aged man sneered. This light formation is inscribed by a formation grandmaster. It can even resist the attack of a venerable. It can definitely protect young hero's safety. That's right. You just stay here. Ling Yu sneered. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. To be able to resist the attack of a venerable, this was definitely very powerful. Perhaps the scholar was really done for. Seems like you guys are very confident, Lin Xian said lightly. Then, he raised his finger and quickly drew in the air. Buzz! Caw caw caw! The next moment, the huge dazzling hexagram-sealed space suddenly trembled and made a cracking sound. Then, it burst open and turned into countless fragments. Lin Xian looked calm. He walked out from inside and said slowly, Did you guys remember wrongly, or was that formation grandmaster lying to you? Is this formation really as powerful as you think it is? As he said that, he waved his finger again and drew a sword chi, surging upward. Suddenly, the blue palm that caught the golden feather divine condor cracked and scattered on the ground like glass. Puff! The golden feathered divine condor spread its wings and soared into the sky. It regained its freedom and quickly returned to Lin Xian's side. Why do I feel that he's pitifully weak? What? The middle-aged man's pupils constricted as he stood rooted to the ground. Ling Yu's face was also filled with fear. He screamed, You broke it? How is this possible? Shocking, too shocking. Everyone in the Colosseum was stunned. It was as if they had seen a ghost. They didn't dare to believe it. Chende's body trembled as he shook his head frantically. Impossible! This is impossible! He was well aware of the power of the blue light array. Previously, he had not been able to break it with his martial soul, but now, his opponent had actually broken it. What shocked them even more was that Lin Xian hadn't used his full strength to blast it open. Instead, he had casually waved his finger and destroyed the entire massive defensive formation. This was too shocking. Lin Xian had a smile on his face as he swept his gaze across the crowd. When Ling Yu felt that gaze, her body instantly trembled as fear rose in her heart. As for Chende, he was even more unbearable. He was so frightened that he took 5 steps back. Humph, trash. Lin Xian retracted his gaze and said with disdain, You. Chende's complexion turned ashen, but he didn't dare to make a move. Ling Yu's complexion wasn't good either. He could only snort coldly to express his dissatisfaction. Everyone was shocked. This young scholar was too domineering. Just a gaze was enough to scare 2 young geniuses. Lin Xian retracted his gaze and looked at the middle-aged man and the black-robed man from the Colosseum. The black-robed man's body also trembled. As a beast tamer, his soul power was very sensitive. He discovered that the soul power fluctuation on Lin Xian's body was exactly the same as the soul power that had injured him. After hearing this news, his eyes were filled with fear. He didn't dare to look at Lin Xian. The middle-aged man's face sank as he said coldly, Our Colosseum was kind enough to protect young hero, but young hero destroyed our formation. This isn't too good. Not too good? Lin Xian laughed. You're still pretending even now. You're really good at acting. I don't understand what you're talking about. The middle-aged man had no choice but to brace himself and say, Humph. Lin Xian retracted his smile. He looked at the middle-aged man from the Colosseum and said coldly, You're saying that the golden feather divine eagle went crazy? Exactly. We just wanted to find the reason to ensure young hero's safety. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, You're really shameless. Lin Xian sneered. What did you say? The middle-aged man was angry. He stared at Lin Xian with an unkind expression. Young man, be careful with your words. You should know that you can't just say anything. Some words will cost you your life if you say them. Threatening me? Lin Xian closed his folding fan and said in a clear voice, I think there's no need for your Colosseum to continue operating. He turned his head and looked at the onlookers. I think all of you are clear about what happened today. You just didn't dare to say it because of some people's influence. But I'll say it for you. This battle was obviously set up by the Colosseum to curry favor with others. From the very beginning, they didn't let others fight. They specifically let the people they selected to fight. Not only that, they also suppressed the strength of the golden feather divine eagle, making it weak. All the experts here can see this. They obviously want to give the golden feather divine eagle away. If they want to give it away, they can just do it secretly. But to use it as a competition to deceive all the warriors and play with them in the palm of their hand, is this the way of the Colosseum? What's funny is that this genius Qin is really trash. He can't even take away the things in his hands. However, when I went on the stage, they secretly let the beast tamers control the demon beasts, making them go crazy and attack without any regard for their lives. They even wanted to make the golden feather divine eagle self-destruct. Fortunately, I stopped it and successfully subdued it. But how did they do it? I think everyone saw it. They sealed the space, forcibly captured the golden feather divine eagle, and even wanted to imprison me. If it wasn't because I have some strength, I'm afraid I would have already been killed by them. Lin Xian said coldly. Such a Colosseum, do you dare to go? They only allow their people to obtain the demon beasts. If the others win, they will be killed. Do you dare to come? Aren't you afraid of being killed by them one day? Lin Xian's words were sharp, and his voice was vast and mighty. The surrounding warriors were discussing noisily. Indeed, they had all seen what happened today. They weren't fools, so they could naturally understand what happened. And this young scholar's words weren't wrong at all. Presumptuous, a bunch of nonsense. The middle-aged man was furious. He shouted coldly, Men, capture this person who is spreading lies to mislead the crowd. Huff, huff, huff! Suddenly, countless figures flew out from the Colosseum and formed a huge encirclement, surrounding Lin Xian. What's wrong? You've been exposed and now you're angry? Lin Xian sneered. Humph, brat, no matter what you say, today is the day you die. Ling Yu roared ferociously. He had a stomach full of anger, and only by killing the other party could he vent his anger. Seeing this tense scene, the crowd of warriors frowned even more. This divine wind Colosseum was really too overbearing. Did they really think that ordinary warriors like them were easy to bully? Chapter 795. Seeing this tense scene, the crowd of martial artists frowned even more. This divine wind war beast castle was really too overbearing. Did they really think that ordinary martial artists were easy to bully? I think the fault doesn't lie with this young hero, someone said. Yes, I think the war beast castle should apologize, another expert said. With someone taking the lead, these onlookers also became unyielding. One by one, they shouted angrily and loudly berated the war beast castle. The people of the war beast castle were dissatisfied at first and wanted to suppress them. However, they underestimated the power of the crowd. Although the individual strength of these martial artists was weak, they were a powerful force when combined. Rebel, all rebel! The middle-aged man was trembling with anger. Ling Yu clenched his fists and stared at Lin Xian. His eyes were full of murderous aura. It was all because of this hateful brat in front of him who ruined his perfect plan. Unforgivable, absolutely unforgivable. Feeling the murderous aura, Lin Xian turned his head and revealed a trace of disdain at the corner of his mouth. You dare to make a move? Damn it! Ling Yu's face was ashen. He really didn't have the confidence, and didn't dare to make a move. The other party could easily break the defensive array. He was definitely a powerhouse. Even the elders of the family might not be able to do this. Ling Yu took a deep breath and said to the martial artists of the war beast castle beside him, Kill him for me! You want to kill him? You have to ask if we agree first. The crowd of martial artists were angry and fought back. Each and every one of them looked agitated. Apologize, you must apologize for this matter. If you dare to touch him, you will be our enemy. A group of people stood in front of Lin Xian and berated angrily. Lin Yu was stunned. He didn't understand why these people were so agitated. This matter had nothing to do with them. However, these martial artists who were usually timid were as if they were injected with chicken blood and refused to budge an inch. How could he know that this time the War Beast Castle's approach was too excessive? Not only did they target Lin Xian, but they also didn't let these ordinary martial artists dare to be safe. If the War Beast Castle killed Lin Xian today, then the ones who would die tomorrow would most likely be them. If they couldn't suppress the arrogant attitude of the War Beast Castle and bully martial artists, then their situation would be very dangerous in the future. That was why these people rose up in revolt. It could be said that this time, the War Beast Castle not only touched the interests of Lin Xian, but also the interests of all the ordinary martial artists. Ling Yu was also afraid when she heard the angry shouts of the several hundred people. Her expression was extremely ugly. Chen De, on the other hand, was even more unbearable. He was so scared that he peed his pants and hid in a corner, not daring to come out. The middle-aged man from the War Beast Castle was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He didn't expect this scene at all. He originally thought that killing a little thief wouldn't be difficult at all. But from the looks of it now, it was impossible to implement. Elder, what should we do? A disciple of the War Beast Castle asked. Retreat! The middle-aged man gritted his teeth and said, Retreat! Once the order was given, those War Beast Castle's people retreated and confronted those excited people. Little thief, I don't know what kind of demonic technique you have to be able to incite these people. But remember, the golden feathered divine eagle is a demonic beast on the earth ranking. It's not that easy to take it. If you return it now, I can pretend that nothing happened. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Although you are fine today, but in the future. The middle-aged man threatened. In fact, his heart was bleeding. The reason why he was so furious was because his plan to curry favor with the Qin family had failed. Moreover, the golden feathered divine eagle was very precious. It was a demonic beast ranked 97th on the Earth ranking. Any demonic beast that could be ranked on the Earth ranking was not ordinary. And those that could enter the top 100 were even more rare and exotic beasts. This golden feathered divine eagle was ranked 97th on the Earth ranking. Although it hadn't grown up, its potential was limitless. It was also a treasure in their War Beast Castle. Originally, they wanted to bribe Chen De. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would benefit from it. You don't need to worry about whether I can keep it or not, Lin Xian said indifferently. Humph, let's go. The middle-aged man's eyes were gloomy and cold. He waved his sleeve and brought a group of martial artists back to the War Beast Castle. However, he secretly decided that he would release the news of the golden feathered divine eagle. Even if he couldn't get it, he wouldn't let the other party get it. The people of the War Beast Castle left. Those martial artists in the surroundings cheered. Many of them congratulated Lin Xian. Brother, you are too strong. You actually subdued the golden feathered divine eagle in one move. That's nothing. The martial skill that broke the defensive formation in one sword move is amazing. I'm afraid that even the elders of the War Beast Castle can't do it. May I ask which force brother is from? Everyone started asking questions one after another. Lin Xian replied with a smile. Then he said to everyone, Thank you for your help just now. Let's go and have a drink. Let's go. A group of people left in a grandiose manner. At the same time, the Divine Wind War Beast Castle used the power in their hands to spread the news of the golden feathered divine eagle. It immediately caused quite a stir. Many forces were envious. Especially those young martial artists, they were even more excited. This kind of exotic beast was still a cub. It was the best battle pet. If they could get it, it would be a great help in the future. Therefore, everyone moved and quickly looked for the golden feathered divine eagle in the city. On the other side, Lin Xian and the rest came to a restaurant. Everyone rushed in and immediately the restaurant was crowded. Fortunately, this is a big restaurant. It was enough to accommodate everyone. Lin Xian and the rest ordered wine and dishes. They gathered together and drank to their heart's content. In the end, everyone drank until they were satisfied and left. Lin Xian bid farewell to everyone and returned to the courtyard that he secretly rented. "Brother Xian, you are back!" Yu Fei came out to welcome him. "Hey, what is this? What a terrifying demonic beast!" He felt the smoke-like demonic aura from the other party's body and immediately exclaimed, "Golden-feathered divine eagle, a kind of exotic beast. Let's talk inside," Lin Xian said. After that, he entered the courtyard and told Yu Fei everything that happened before. "This Ling family is really too much." Yu Fei was furious. "Brother Xian, do you want to bring people here and destroy the Ling family?" "No rush." Lin Xian waved his hand. "Now is not the time. The Wanxiang auction is getting closer and there are more and more experts in the city. At this time, we can't have a big conflict. This auction is very important to me, so I can't lose it. So we're just going to let it go." Yu Fei was unwilling to give up. "Let it go? How is that possible?" Lin Xian sneered. "Wait until the auction is over, then we'll deal with them." Next, Lin Xian asked Yu Fei to secretly gather information about the Ling and Huang families. Only when he understood the other party's strength would he be able to make a move. Phew! Ben Wang is suffocating! The Crimson Dragon was like a loach as it quickly ran out of the demonic beast's pouch. The Snow-White Monkey also came out. After they came out, they stared at the golden-feathered divine eagle. Puff! 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 The golden-feathered divine eagle, who had its head held high and its chest puffed out, trembled in fear when it saw the Crimson Dragon and the Snow-White Monkey. It kept retreating. The aura of the two beasts made it instinctively afraid. This was not from their strength, but from the pressure in its blood and soul. It was as if there was an irresistible force that made it worship them. Chapter 796. The golden-feathered condor trembled as if it was about to kneel down. "It's been a long time since I've eaten a roasted condor wing." The Crimson Dragon was drooling. The golden-feathered condor trembled even more and almost fainted. Woogie the Snow-White Monkey jumped over and looked at it curiously. Then, it jumped onto the condor's body with a swoosh, looking very happy. However, the golden-feathered condor was scared half to death. It crawled on the ground and didn't dare to move. "All right, you two, stop scaring it," Lin Xian said helplessly. "Silly bird, listen carefully. You're our little brother from now on. Ben Wang will help you if anyone dares to bully you." The Crimson Dragon waved its dragon claws and said. The golden-feathered condor nodded carefully. It no longer had the heroic appearance from before. It was like a docile little chick. Next, Lin Xian rested for 2 days before he went out again. After putting the golden-feathered condor into the demonic beast's pouch, Lin Xian turned into a young scholar again. He waved the folding fan and appeared in the city. This time, he went to a tea house and ordered a pot of spiritual tea. He slowly tasted it. There were martial artists from all over the place gathered together and chatting with each other. "I heard that there are many good things in the Wanxiang auction this time. There's even a half-earth rank artifact. Of course, I heard it's called the Lone Star Sword. Many swordsmen came this time for this sword. In addition, there was also a rare refining material like the phoenix blood copper." Everyone was discussing excitedly. However, what they talked about the most was still the matters within the city. "Have you heard? A few days ago, someone caused a ruckus in the Divine Wind War Beast Castle and won the golden-feathered condor." "Golden-feathered condor? The beast that's ranked 97th on the Earth ranking?" Someone was shocked. "Yes, although it's just a beast now, it'll definitely be terrifying when it grows up in the future. What's going on? How could the Divine Wind War Beast Castle be willing to let such a beast out? There's nothing they can do. I heard that it's a young scholar who's very strong. Although his cultivation was suppressed, he still has the strength of a venerable. That's why he won the beast." Everyone was discussing fervently. I'm guessing that this scholar must be from some great power. He might also be a genius. Yeah, I heard that even the students of Senma College are no match for him. Many people began to guess the other party's identity. Thud. 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 At this moment, a loud sound echoed in the tea house like a bell and drum. His voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears clearly, as if he was right beside them. However, in the next moment, some people began to tremble, because that voice became extremely demonic. It was as if a lightning hammer smashed into their hearts, making them tremble. Many of the weaker martial artists had flushed faces, as if they had suffered internal injuries. Soon, there was a voice at the top of the stairs. This was a youth dressed in red. His black hair was like a waterfall, and his eyes were long and narrow. They were extremely bright, like sword radiance, incomparably fierce. He was like a sword god, standing there, giving people a sense of oppression. What genius scholar! That's because he hasn't seen me yet. If he does, I'll suppress him with one hand. The youth had a handsome face and a tall figure, but his words were very sharp, making people frown. Behind him were 6 beautiful women. Each of them was holding a sword in their arms. Some were simple and unadorned, while others were luxurious. Obviously, those 6 treasured swords were all famed swords. At this moment, an oval-faced girl walked out from behind him. She came to the nearest table and said coldly, "My young master has requisitioned this table. Leave quickly!" The girl's voice was cold. Then, she threw out a bag of spirit stones. F***ck, what do you take us for? Beggars? Do you really think we're pushovers? Those people were originally heroes of the pugilistic world and had fierce temperaments. Now that they encountered such a situation, they were naturally furious. Clang! Clang! A few of them drew their swords. Their eyes were ferocious as they looked at the oval-faced girl. "You overestimate yourselves!" The oval-faced girl sneered. Then, she waved her jade-like hand and struck out a series of mysterious palmed shadows in the air. They were like floating lights, extremely mysterious. Bang, bang, bang! In an instant, the 3 people in front of the table screamed and flew out of the window. The whole process was very fast. In the blink of an eye, the table was emptied. Then, 2 more youths came from behind. They formed hand seals and formed a cloud of mist to clean the entire table. Then, they took out handkerchiefs and carefully wiped the table. "Young master, please sit." "Okay." The red-clothed young man grunted and then slowly sat down. The 6 girls began to get busy. One took out spirit tea, one took out spirit liquid, and one took out a high-quality purple teapot and began to brew tea. The teapot was not big, but it emitted a purple light. It was actually a treasure. Looking at the extravagant and domineering red-clothed young man, many people's eyelids twitched. Needless to say, this was another genius from a large faction. Lin Xian sat in the corner and looked at this scene. He frowned slightly. He did not expect to see this group of people again. The red-clothed young man's ostentation shocked many people, but there were some who were not convinced. They sneered and said, "You're too arrogant. As far as I know, there are very few martial artists in the spirit-detecting realm who can exert the strength of a venerable. That scholar is definitely a genius. I don't know what kind of ability you have to say such words. How dare you speak to my young master like that?" The oval-faced girl, Qian, shouted coldly. "What, am I wrong?" The martial artist sneered. "Do you think you're strong just because you're ostentatious?" "Humph." The red-clothed young man snorted coldly. It was like a clap of thunder that made many people's blood boil, especially the martial artist who spoke. His body was trembling and his face was full of shock. "It's just a cross-realm battle. What's the big deal? You're really a frog at the bottom of a well. I could have easily won a battle like this 3 years ago. Now, one hand is enough to beat him." The red-clothed young man was very confident and domineering. What big words. That scholar is very young and looks like he's not even 20 years old. His strength is probably at the 2nd level of the venerable realm. He's not invincible among the younger generation, but he's probably a top expert. How can you suppress such a person? Ignorant. How can you guess my strength? The red-clothed young man, Hong Wuji, said disdainfully. I can still suppress a second-level venerable realm. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Looking at the red-clothed young man, it didn't seem like he was pretending. Could it be that he really had such ability? May I ask which faction you're from? Someone asked. Trash like you don't deserve to know. The red-clothed young man said arrogantly. You. That person was furious, and his face alternated between green and red. Obviously, he didn't expect the other party to be so arrogant and directly humiliate him. Such big words at such a young age. You have to know that only a genius who grows up will be a powerhouse in the future. An old man snorted. He was very dissatisfied with the red-clothed young man's attitude. You don't have the right to judge whether I can grow up or not, Hong Wuji said disdainfully. But I know that at least I won't be like you, living for so long and only being a first-level venerable realm. If I were you, I would have killed myself. Chapter 797. Hong Wuji's words made the elder tremble in anger. He had lived for 200 years, but his cultivation was only at first-level honorable realm. That was indeed his pain. But now, it was actually exposed in public. This was a slap to his face. Moreover, it was an arrogant junior. Humph, let me see what right you have to be arrogant. The elder snorted and stretched out his palm, forming a mountain that pressed down quickly. The entire space cracked as if it was about to crack. The mountain formed by the palm was real and terrifying. Its power was even heavier than the real mountain. Thousands of waves surged and pressed down on Hong Wuji. Clown, I'll let you know what it means to be a young genius today, Hong Wuji sneered. He sat there and continued to drink tea, but his left hand was like a sword that stabbed upward. A ray of sword chi was as bright as a divine light. It was sharp and terrifying, and it instantly slashed the mountain. Crack, crack, crack. A low rumbling sound spread out. Countless cracks appeared on the huge mountain-like palm, and they rapidly spread out like a python web. Bang! In the end, the mountain exploded and turned into spiritual chi that disappeared. The elder snorted and took a few steps back, his face full of shock. His right palm had been deformed, and blood kept flowing out as if it had been cut by a divine sword. The surrounding martial artists were even more shocked. A casual attack had seriously injured a first-level honorable realm. The red-clothed youth's strength was too terrifying. He was at least a second-level honorable realm, or even stronger. Now, do you believe that I can suppress any scholar with one hand? Hong Wuji said confidently. This guy is really arrogant. The crimson dragon in his sleeve was furious. Kid, I can't take it anymore. Its body changed shape, turning into a palm-sized snake that quickly slithered away. You're really shameless. You think you're invincible after injuring a first-level honorable realm? A disdainful voice was heard. I think you're the frog at the bottom of the well. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. The red-clothed youth had already proven his strength, but now he dared to speak rudely to him. He must be an expert. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a blue-clothed youth drinking tea alone with his back facing them. Although it was only his back view, his calm and steady aura showed that he was extraordinary. Injuring a first heaven venerable realm cultivator is nothing. It's just that there aren't any more powerful cultivators here. Otherwise, we could all suppress them together. Hong Wuji was still as arrogant as ever. As for you, if you're not convinced, then feel free to attack. I will let you know the definition of a genius. Insolent, too insolent. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. This guy was really arrogant. He really wanted to walk over and kick him in the face. The crimson dragon that was coiled around Lin Xian's hair howled in anger. F***ck, Ben Wang is so angry. Despite living for so long, he had never seen such an arrogant fellow before. At this moment, someone asked, May I know your name? This was a young man who had also reached the first level of the honorable realm. Furthermore, he was at the peak of the first level of the honorable realm. It could be said that he was also a young genius. Yes, you are qualified to know. The red-clothed young man nodded slightly. Remember my name, Hongwuji. Hongwuji. Is he from the Red Leaf Valley? Everyone was shocked, but then they came to a realization. No wonder he's so arrogant and powerful. So he's from the Red Leaf Valley. At the same time, everyone was even more shocked. A peak first level of the honorable realm was only qualified to know his name. Just how powerful was this red-clothed young man? Hongwuji? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. Never heard of him. As for the Red Leaf Valley, I've even less heard of it. Judging from the name, could it be some kind of tourist attraction? Hey, red-clothed young man, how much is the ticket to your house? A mocking and teasing voice echoed in the tea house. This voice was strange, but no one dared to laugh. Someone actually dared to joke about the Red Leaf Valley. How arrogant. As expected, Hongwuji's face darkened as soon as this was said. His entire body emitted a terrifying murderous aura. Countless sword rays formed in the air, densely packed and filling the entire space. The terrifying aura made one's scalp tingle and tremble. The maid also shouted angrily. How dare you insult the Red Leaf Valley? You're courting death. The oval-faced girl and the round-faced girl dashed out at the same time. Their bodies were like lightning as they rushed toward Lin Xian. The aura on their bodies was powerful, and they carried the power of their martial souls. Everyone was shocked. They had thought that these 6 girls were ordinary maids, but they did not expect them to be martial arts experts. Their cultivation had definitely reached the first level of the honorable realm. To have 6 first-level honorable realm maids as maids, this red-clothed young man was really generous. In the blink of an eye, the 2 girls arrived behind Lin Xian. They waved their jade-like hands, striking out dazzling palm shadows. The terrifying aura made everyone tremble. However, Lin Xian did not turn around. He struck back, and his terrifying spiritual energy turned into a golden mountain peak that quickly pushed out. The void trembled as if thousands of beasts were galloping. The terrifying golden mountain peak carried a huge force and collided with the countless palm shadows. This attack made the entire tea house tremble as if it was about to split open. There were countless experts in Wind-Seeking City, and the owner of this tea house was also a martial arts expert. Naturally, he had defensive measures. Rays of colorful light surged out and quickly formed a defense to protect the tea house. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and looked up to watch the battle in front of them. The golden mountain peak was extremely powerful. It was like a giant beast that had appeared. When the terrifying and mysterious palm shadows hit it, they did not cause any impact. Instead, the rebounding force scattered the palm shadows that filled the sky. In the blink of an eye, the oval-faced girl and the other girl were pushed back by a huge force. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 of them kept retreating. Every step they took could crack the ground. However, at this moment, mysterious patterns appeared on the ground, forming a screen of light. The terrifying power was negated, and the entire tea house was preserved. The oval-faced girl and the other girl stopped with difficulty. Then, they looked up and their eyes were filled with shock. Although they were just maids, they were definitely first-level honorable realm experts in terms of strength. Furthermore, they were the strongest among first-level honorable realm experts. When the 2 of them joined forces, they were able to fight against the second-level honorable realm expert. However, they could not block a single attack from the other party. This was simply too unbelievable. The crowd gasped. They were originally mourning for that person, but they did not expect that person to not even move his body. He only struck back and forced the 2 experts to retreat. Now, the crowd could not even see his face. They could only see his back view. However, at this moment, his back view was like a boundless mountain that the crowd could only look up to. Set up the sword formation. The oval-faced girl and the other girl wanted to join forces with the other 6 to set up the sword formation. Hongwuji did not stop them. He stared coldly at the other party's back view. Countless sword shadows appeared in the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. It was as if they would fall at any time. Chapter 798. At this moment the 6 girls drew their swords from their waists, and quickly formed a sword formation, enveloping the area. Lin Xian's expression darkened as well. He had held back in that attack just now. However, the other party did not repent and even gathered 6 people to form a sword formation to kill him. Did they really think that he was a pushover? The Crimson Dragon also howled. 6 little girls, how shameless! Are you trying to bully me with numbers? Come, come, come! Ben Huang will keep you company. If you can make Ben Huang turn around, you win. The voice was very strange, like the roar of a 1,000-year-old demon, making one's scalp tingle. Lin Xian's mouth twitched. This Roussillon was too provocative, but he did not stop them. The other party was so arrogant, saying that they would suppress him with one hand. How arrogant! Even a clay figurine had a temper, not to mention Lin Xian was not someone who would be bullied. So this time, he planned to knock the other party down and extinguish the arrogance of the Red Leaf Valley. You're courting death. When the 6 girls heard the Crimson Dragon's mockery, their faces darkened and their delicate bodies trembled. Of course, they did not notice the existence of the Crimson Dragon, so they could only vent their anger on Lin Xian. The 6 girls' bodies swayed, like a divine light, and quickly struck out 6 rays of sword qi, slashing towards Lin Xian. The 6 rays of sword qi were extremely sharp, like divine light in the sky, shining with a terrifying brilliance. Everyone gasped. This attack was too terrifying, definitely able to split mountains and rivers. Even a 2nd-level venerable would not be able to block it. However, Lin Xian still did not turn around. He formed a seal with his right hand and quickly swept it out, drawing an arc in the air. Seal of mountains and rivers. He had the dragon sword soul, which could simulate all offensive saint techniques. This seal of mountains and rivers was stimulated by the power of the dragon sword soul. The air fluctuated like a scroll rolling, forming a huge golden mountain, spinning out and suppressing all directions. Boom! The golden mountain fell, and the terrifying power sent the 6 rays of sword qi flying. Humph! Seeing the sword qi shatter, the oval-faced girl coldly harumphed. She led the other 5 to attack again. Sword qi flashed and intertwined in the air to form a green lotus, which quickly descended. The terrifying green lotus sword qi slashed at the golden mountain peak and actually cracked it. However, in the next moment, a silver river appeared in the sky and swept out in all directions. A gentle force cleverly dispelled the sword qi. The Milky Way flickered, emitting a hazy mist in the void. It was like a dream, enveloping Lin Xian. This Milky Way was very strange. It stood in the void, giving people the feeling that it was so close yet so far away. The oval-faced girl gritted her teeth as shock appeared in her eyes. Their green lotus sword formation was extremely powerful. Even a 2nd-level honorable realm cultivator would not be a match for the 6 of them. But now, they were unable to take down the person in front of them. They didn't even have the qualifications to make him turn around. Green lotus filling the sky! The oval-faced girl shouted. Then, she quickly turned around. The 6 of them were like ghosts, as they flew through the air. 6 streaks of sword qi condensed into the shape of a green lotus in the air, instantly tearing the void apart. 36 streaks of sword qi filled the sky, emitting a terrifying aura that stirred up the wind and clouds in all directions. Slash! With a shout, the 6 girls carried the green lotus sword qi and formed the green lotus in the sky. They quickly rotated and cooperated with each other to form a huge green lotus, which quickly pressed down. The entire tea house shook again, emitting creaking sounds. Countless transparent inscriptions surged in the surroundings, forming a light barrier. The surrounding martial artists quickly retreated, distancing themselves from the green lotus sword qi. It was too terrifying. Just the aftershock was enough to make their hearts tremble. They felt as if they were being cut apart. One could only imagine how much pressure the young man in the middle was under. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not intend to be in a stalemate any longer. The great dragon's sword soul surged and quickly poured into the golden mountain in the sky. The huge golden mountain rotated rapidly and became more solid. Mysterious runes appeared on it, forming a mysterious force. In the next moment, the void exploded. The golden mountain was like a demonic mountain, pressing down quickly and violently on the green lotus sword chi. When the two collided, a violent air current swept out in all directions. The tables, chairs, windows, and doors were instantly turned into dust. Even more energy slammed on the energy barrier, causing it to vibrate violently. It was really terrifying. Crack, crack, crack. The green lotus sword chi in the sky could not hold on any longer, and shattered like glass. The 6 girls were terrified. Blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. Their delicate bodies flew out and fell to the ground. Lin Xian waved his sleeve and put away the golden mountain and the silver river in the sky. He picked up a cup of spiritual tea and took a sip. His back was still facing the crowd. Hong Wuji frowned even more. His opponent could easily break the green lotus sword formation. He was definitely a powerful martial artist. "Who are you?" he asked coldly. "Ha ha, red-robed kid, you don't have the right to know." Before Lin Xian could speak, the dark red dragon had already roared out. As soon as the words came out, Hong Wuji's face darkened. Murderous intent appeared in his eyes. In the void, tens of thousands of sword radiances appeared, making a loud noise. The terrifying aura was like a violent tsunami, shocking everyone. Sun Moon Seal. Lin Xian formed another seal and shot out a sun. The void vibrated, forming a red sun. It was extremely dazzling, just like a real sun. The dazzling sunlight also turned into tens of thousands of golden swords, piercing out fiercely. Clang clang! Bam! Bam! The 2 types of sword chi fought in the void, causing a large crack to appear in the void. It was a shocking and terrifying sight. In the end, the 2 types of sword chi disappeared at the same time and turned into spiritual chi. He withstood it! The crowd was shocked. They had not expected the young man to withstand Hong Wuji's attack. This was unbelievable. Hong Wuji could injure a martial artist at the peak of first-level honorable realm with a casual attack. This meant that Hong Wuji's strength was above that of a second-level honorable realm. He might even be stronger. Now, the young man with the back view had also displayed powerful strength. He did not seem to be any weaker than Hong Wuji. "This young man is also a supreme talent. I wonder which superpower he is from?" The crowd was shocked. They were familiar with this situation. After all, the Vientiane auction had attracted many supreme talents. Countless powerful martial artists would enter Windy City. However, they had not expected 2 supreme talents to fight so quickly. "Who are you?" Hong Wuji's voice was cold and his expression was solemn. The fact that the young man could withstand his attack was enough to show that he was not an ordinary person. He was at least as powerful as Hong Wuji. This person was definitely not a nameless person. "As long as you have the ability to turn me around, you will know who I am," Lin Xian said flatly. "You are courting death." Hong Wuji's eyes darkened and he was ready to attack again. However, at that moment, a crisp laughter rang out in the void like wind chimes. "Aya, it's so lively here!" A gentle voice rang out, causing the hearts of those who heard it to tremble. Many people raised their heads and looked over. Another figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Chapter 799. She was an extremely flirtatious lady. She wore a fiery red dress and her chest revealed her snow-white flesh. Her long, slender legs were faintly discernible under the light veil. Her peach blossom eyes were captivating as if they could mesmerize anyone. There was also a faint layer of crimson radiance on her delicate body that enveloped her. She was like a demoness. "Huang Xiao Xiao!" Everyone's heart trembled. She was a disciple of the Huang family and a top genius among the younger generation of the Huang family. She was extremely famous in Wind-Seeking City. Many people swallowed their saliva and forcefully shifted their gazes away. They had no choice. Although Huang Xiaoxiao was flirtatious, she was vicious and merciless. She was definitely a ruthless character. Moreover, this lady's cultivation was at least at the second-level honorable realm. She was extremely powerful and was the reason why no one dared to provoke her. Huang Xixiao's gaze turned and quickly swept past the crowd. Then, she looked at the figure with his back facing the crowd. Her beautiful eyes shone brightly. Huang Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes looked at the figure with his back facing the crowd and revealed a trace of surprise. She realized that she could not see through the other party's cultivation. If she looked carefully, there was a mysterious force that blocked her view. She had never encountered such a situation before, so she took a few more glances. However, in the end, she placed her gaze on Hongwuji. It was clear that he was more interested in the young master of Red Leaf Valley compared to the rest. I've long heard of the great name of the Red Leaf Valley. After meeting you today, the disciples of the Red Leaf Valley are indeed extraordinary, Huang Xiaoxiao said with a smile. Who are you? Hongwuji asked in a deep voice. He could naturally feel the powerful aura from the other party. I'm Huang Xiaoxiao. Huang Xiaoxiao smiled charmingly. Her voice was sweet and pleasant, causing many people's blood to boil and their bodies to heat up. You're also here for the white-robed scholar? Hongwuji asked coldly. I'm not interested in the white-robed scholar. I'm more interested in the golden-feathered divine eagle in his hands. In that case, you're going to compete with me? Hongwuji's eyes darkened. You're thinking too much. Huang Xiaoxiao smiled. How would I dare to compete with you? However, the young master of the Red Leaf Valley will definitely not be interested in the golden-feathered divine eagle. How about you give it to me? The two of them chatted as if the white-clothed scholar and the golden-feathered divine eagle were already fish on their chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. The Crimson Dragon was tired of hearing this. He asked, Damn, Ben Huang is so angry. Kid, are you still not going to make a move? These fellows are too despicable. They don't put you in their eyes at all. Ben Huang has a toothache just looking at it. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. He also transmitted his voice. Don't be hasty. Now is not the time to act. If we're going to play this time, let's play big. Wouldn't it be better to shock everyone? F***ck, this kid has guts. I like it. The Crimson Dragon narrowed its eyes, ready to watch a good show. Dong! 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 Another powerful voice rang out. Needless to say, another expert had arrived. Sure enough, it didn't take long before another figure appeared at the staircase. He was dressed in yellow and had a handsome face. His temperament was extraordinary. When he opened and closed his eyes, there was a sharp glint in them. So it's Brother Leng Feng. I didn't expect you to come too. Huang Xiaoxiao smiled softly. This young man was also a young expert from Wenseeking City. His cultivation had reached the second sky of the honorable realm. He was also one of the top experts among the younger generation of the Ling clan. He was much stronger than Ling Yu. It seems that everyone is here for the golden-feathered divine eagle. Ling Feng directly said what everyone was concerned about. That white-robed scholar insulted our Ling clan's warbeast castle and took away our Ling clan's exotic beast by force. So this time, I must kill him and bring the exotic beast back. Ling Feng's voice was cold and there was a strong murderous intent in his words. It seemed that he wouldn't stop until he achieved his goal. The Crimson Dragon was overjoyed. Another expert had arrived. It seemed that there would be a good show to watch this time. Hongwuji looked at Ling Feng with a serious look in his eyes. However, he still said in a deep voice, No matter how many people come, the white-robed scholar is mine. I want to suppress him with my own hands. His voice was full of confidence. Damn it, this guy is too arrogant. Even Ben Huang wants to beat him up. The Crimson Dragon was furious. Lin Xian frowned. This guy was too arrogant. He didn't take him seriously at all. It seemed that he had to find a chance to teach him a lesson. At this moment, Huang Xiaoxiao sighed. But it seems that the white-robed scholar doesn't dare to come out. Otherwise, with our power, we would have found him long ago. Humph! Useless trash. So many people admire him. What a joke! Ling Feng sneered in disdain. If he dares to come out, I'll kill him with a slash. Most legends can't be trusted. What genius scholar! In my eyes, he's just an ant. Hong Wuji sneered. He got the golden-feathered divine eagle by pure luck. If any of us were here, he wouldn't have succeeded that day. The three of them talked among themselves. They didn't take the white-robed scholar seriously at all. However, the discussion of the three fell into the hearts of the crowd, which immediately caused many people to be dissatisfied. They were the martial artists who saw the white-robed scholar with their own eyes. That scene was unforgettable. Since then, many of them idolized the white-robed scholar. Now, someone dared to ridicule their idol. They were trembling with anger. Although you're powerful, the white-robed scholar isn't weak either. His strength is comparable to yours. It's impossible for any of you to defeat him alone. That's right. I saw him break the blue array of the Ling family's war beast castle effortlessly with my own eyes. He's definitely stronger than those elders. Many people shared what they saw. The crowd was in a heated discussion. They all felt that the white-robed youth was indeed a genius. Even the disciples of Senmu College were no match for him. How can someone like him be weak? A cute girl with big eyes said. Who dares to insult the reputation of Senmu College? At this moment, a cold voice was heard. It was like a sharp blade that shook the void. Immediately after, a light flashed and a black figure appeared in the tea house. It was a tall man with a cold face. He stood there like a demon. He didn't move, but the aura he emitted was like that of a wild beast. It intimidated everyone. An expert. An absolute expert. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect another young expert to appear at this time. The demon-like black-robed youth's eyes were like lightning. He scanned the surroundings and finally stared at the cute girl with big eyes. Are you the one insulting the reputation of Senmu College? The voice was cold and sharp. It cut the air mercilessly. Everyone was shocked. It seemed that the black-robed youth was a young expert from Senmu College. Chapter 800. The big-eyed girl's body trembled slightly. Her fair face was filled with fear, but she still stubbornly said, I saw it with my own eyes. That white-robed scholar defeated your Senmu College's disciple. Nonsense! The black-robed youth shouted coldly. Suddenly, the surrounding tables, chairs, and windows turned into powder. It also caused the defensive light screen to vibrate. Boom! The terrifying sound wave was like a sharp spear that quickly pierced towards the cute girl. This attack was very terrifying. It could tear apart mountains and rivers. If the cute girl was hit, she would probably die immediately. Everyone was shocked. The terrifying shockwave blew them away. No one dared to step forward. In an instant, the formless sound wave spear was in front of the cute girl. The next moment, it was about to pierce her. The cute girl was so scared that her face turned pale. She sat on the ground, tears in her eyes. She looked very pitiful. Finally, she screamed and closed her eyes. Bang! A low sound was heard. It was like thunder exploding in the void. A strong wind swept across, blowing on everyone's body and causing them pain. Everyone was shocked. They quickly turned their heads and exclaimed. The formless sound wave spear did not pierce the cute girl. Instead, it was blocked by a cold moon. The two were in a stalemate. In the void. The cute girl, Vivian, opened her eyes and was stunned when she saw the scene in front of her. She thought that she was going to die, but she did not expect someone to save her at the last moment. Everyone was stunned. They were extremely shocked. They did not expect someone to help at the last moment. Huang Xiao and the others were also shocked. She wanted to watch a good show, but she did not expect to be interrupted. Hong Wuji frowned. He stared at the figure with his back to everyone. His eyes were flickering. The black-robed youth was the most angry. He was here to clear the name of the college. As a disciple of Senmu College, he would not allow anyone to insult the college's reputation. So he did not hold back in the attack just now. He wanted to use blood to intimidate everyone. However, he did not expect that someone would dare to stop him. In his opinion, it was unforgivable. "Who dares to stop me? Come out!" The black-robed youth's voice was cold and thunderous. "You can't even tell who did it. What's there to be arrogant about?" The Crimson Dragon sneered. He couldn't stand this kind of behavior that bullied the weak. "Hiding your head but showing your tail, I can tell at a glance that you're a cowardly rat." The black-clothed youth remained unmoved, and his cold gaze once again stared at the cute girl. "How dare you insult the reputation of Senmu College? You can only atone for your crimes with your death." The cute girl's body trembled and curled into a ball like a kitten. Her large eyes were filled with terror and her entire body was trembling nonstop. Lin Xian coldly snorted. His expression was abnormally cold, and a hint of killing intent surfaced in his eyes. If the other party was targeting him, then he had nothing to say. However, the other party had bullied a weak girl right from the start, and even wanted to kill her? He didn't dare to do that. Could it be that just because the girl spoke the truth, she had to suffer the punishment of death? Lin Xian couldn't bear it. He wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. Moreover, the girl had said those words to protect him. Lin Xian couldn't just sit by and watch. If someone died because of him, he would never be at ease for the rest of his life. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to step in and save the cute girl. With a wave of his sleeve, an invisible force surged out and transformed into an invisible ribbon. It enveloped the cute girl and pulled her back. "You're courting death!" The black-clothed youth was furious. Someone actually dared to touch the person he wanted to kill. He sneered and pointed a finger. Light circled his fingertip like a divine light and quickly flew out. Whoosh! This finger rushed towards the cute girl's heart. If she was pierced, she would probably die immediately. Lin Xian's expression was gloomy. The other party actually wanted to kill a weak girl. Did they have no humanity at all? He quickly formed a seal with his palm and struck out. Spiritual power surged out, and a dazzling silver river hung upside down in the void like 3,000 waterfalls. A ray of light intercepted the finger beam. The other ray quickly enveloped the cute girl to protect her. Bam! An earth-shattering sound rang out again. The dazzling finger beam collided with the silver river, creating a torrent of energy. On the other side, the cute girl safely arrived at Lin Xian's side. "You blocked it?" The black-clothed youth's expression was gloomy. He pointed his finger beam again. The light was as bright as the stars. The power of this finger beam was several times stronger than before. The finger beam flickered like a dragon. It roared ferociously out of the sea and quickly rampaged through the void. Lin Xian still used the sun and moon seal. A silver moon hung in the void and rotated gently. The moonlight flowed like water waves and quickly strangled the dragon. The terrifying energy of the finger beam was vast. It transformed into a dragon that roared and bared its fangs and claws, tearing the void apart. The silver moon vibrated and scattered its moonlight. It was like a crystal-clear silver light. The two collided with a sonorous sound that shook one's soul. However, no matter how the dragon roared, it could not break free from the moonlight. Not only that, the more it struggled, the tighter the moonlight ribbon became. In the end, it completely wrapped around it. The cold moonlight was like a transparent ribbon that destroyed the dragon. "What? It's destroyed!" The black-clothed youth's pupils constricted. He knew the power of this attack. It was terrifying, but it was easily destroyed by the other party. For a moment, he could not accept it. Huang Xiaoxiao, Leng Feng, and the others also frowned and stared at the back of the figure. This person's strength was far beyond their expectations. The black-clothed youth took a deep breath and his eyes turned gloomy. "Brat, how dare you meddle in my business? You're dead meat!" His eyes were full of killing intent. In the next moment, a powerful aura burst out. He quickly swung his fist and punched at Lin Xian. Crack, crack, crack. The void trembled as if it was about to split open. A powerful force surged like an Archean ferocious beast that pounced at Lin Xian. In the void, the moon rotated again. The moonlight swept in all directions like a sword beam and quickly slashed at the fist. Dong! 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 The two collided. The terrifying fist was incomparably powerful and scattered the moonlight. However, more moonlight poured in like water ripples. It was densely packed and covered the sky. All of them quickly slashed down. Thousands of rays of moonlight gathered and formed a moonlight divine sword that swept in all directions. In the end, the terrifying fist could not withstand it and was sent flying. The black-clothed youth also took 3 steps back with a look of shock on his face. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was too terrifying. Huang Xiaoxiao, Leng Feng, and the others frowned even more. The black-clothed martial artist's strength was on par with theirs, but he could not defeat a young man with his back facing them. This made them uneasy. If that was the case, the two of them were no match for him. Who are you? Why are you meddling in my business? The youth's expression was ugly. You won't have a good ending if you offend Senma College. Chapter 801. Senma College? Lin Xian sneered. Do you think you can represent the college? Don't flatter yourself. If Senma College was filled with scum like you, it would have closed down a long time ago. Using the name of the college to bully the weak. How shameless! You! The young man in black was at a loss for words. He trembled with anger. At the side, the adorable girl with big eyes looked at Lin Xian in surprise. Her long eyelashes fluttered, and her eyes were full of excitement. She wanted to exclaim, "Shoo!" Lin Xian shook his head gently, indicating for her not to speak. The girl with big eyes nodded desperately, then sat down beside Lin Xian with an excited expression. Hee, you're really skilled, young master. I'm impressed. Huang Xiaoxiao smiled. How should I address you, young master? Where are you from? Then, she smiled coquettishly. Why don't you give me some face and stop fighting? The young man in black snorted. His gaze was cold, but he did not speak. Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Do I know you? Why should I give you face? Hearing this, Huang Xiaoxiao's charming face stiffened. She could not believe what she had just heard. The martial artists around them exclaimed, their minds blank. Huang Xiaoxiao had been in Wenfeng's city for a long time, and no one dared to disrespect her. Moreover, an unknown young man dared to scold her to her face. Her seductive face darkened at that thought. This little brother has a bad temper. I wonder what makes him so daring to speak to me like that. Huang Xiaoxiao's voice was cold. You should know that you'll regret it for the rest of your life if you say something like that. Ling Feng also stepped forward. You're arrogant kid! It looks like you're not going to give us face? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Lin Xian shouted coldly. These people had mercilessly mocked him and treated him like a fish on a chopping board. How could he be nice to them now? Lin Xian did not have a good impression of the Huang and Lin families to begin with. He was already giving them face by not attacking them immediately. Now, these people still wanted to get close to him. Was this even possible? The surrounding people were so shocked that their minds went blank. This young man was too valiant. He actually scolded the young top experts of the Ling and Huang families at the same time. Did he not want to live anymore? You're courting death. Ling Feng's face darkened as killing intent filled his eyes. Huang Xiaoxiao's face was also taut as she said softly, Let me see what makes you so arrogant. Lin Xian and Lin Xian were like two streaks of starlight, moving at incredible speed. In an instant, they arrived in front of Lin Xian. Huang Xiaoxiao used a pair of short swords that were like the fangs of a viper. They were dark green and ghastly, and they carried dense poison. Even an Exalt Realm martial artist would be poisoned if they encountered them. Surrounded by green light and thin mist, it quickly pierced towards Lin Xian. It was extremely dangerous. On the other side, Lin Feng also attacked, his killing intent shocking. He used a scimitar that was shaped like a crescent moon. It drew an astonishing arc as it slashed towards Lin Xian's neck. Boundless killing intent erupted like a river of stars pouring down. It was extremely cold. Along with the cold blade, all of it surged towards Lin Xian. The two experts attacked fiercely. Even a second-rank exalt would be severely injured in an instant. Therefore, they were confident that they could take down Lin Xian immediately. Lin Xian formed hand seals with both hands. He used the mountain river seal in his left hand and the sun-moon seal in his right hand. He struck out with both hands towards the two of them. Boom! The void trembled as a silver river hung in the sky like a divine river, blocking the dark green poison outside. At the same time, the golden mountain spun and blazed with divine light. It rushed into the clouds and smashed towards Huang Xiaoxiao with terrifying force. On the other side, the cold moonlight formed an invisible ribbon that quickly wrapped around the opponent. The dazzling sun evolved into countless flaming divine swords that pierced through the void. Every sword light carried with it a fiery glow, burning everything in its path. Boom! There was a shocking explosion as Lin Xian fought against two opponents by himself. Whoosh! Boom! Along with the terrifying sound, the crowd saw two figures retreat from the energy tide. They were Huang Xiaoxiao and Ling Feng. What? He repelled them! Everyone was shocked. That mysterious young man had repelled two young experts by himself? This was too shocking. Huang Xiaoxiao and Ling Feng were even more shocked. They could easily kill a second-rank exalt if they joined forces, but they were repelled at this moment. Could he be a third-rank exalt? The two of them were shocked as soon as they thought of this. However, the two of them quickly shook their heads. If he was a third-rank exalt, they would not only be repelled, but they would also be severely injured. Even so, the two of them were still very wary. The two of them looked at each other and wanted to attack again. However, at this moment, a cold light suddenly appeared and stabbed towards Lin Xian. This unforeseen event was extremely shocking, causing everyone to cry out in alarm. In fact, from the moment Lin Xian attacked to the moment Huang Xiaoxiao and Ling Feng were repelled, only an instant had passed. The cold light in the void also appeared in an instant. This cold light was shocking. It was as fast as lightning and arrived in front of them in an instant. Ordinary martial artists could not see it clearly. Only Hong Wuji and a few other experts could see it clearly. It was a thin sword that was only 2 fingers wide and 1 meter long. It was like a cold light that pierced towards Lin Xian's back. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. Sneak attack? He was not afraid. However, he despised the other party's actions. Moreover, he felt that such a person was not worthy of being a disciple of Senmu College. That's right, the person who suddenly attacked was the young man in black who claimed to be from Senmu College. He could not defeat Lin Xian, so he could only think of such a sinister attack. However, he still underestimated Lin Xian. Boom! In the next moment, a bloody light spread out behind Lin Xian, and a terrifying and violent aura erupted. The void was dyed red, and a monstrous sea of blood appeared. It carried a murderous aura and blasted in all directions. Poof! The bloody sea surged and formed a wave that slammed into the young man in black, sending him flying. That was not the end. A bloody sword condensed in the sea of blood and stood in the void. It then slashed down. The young man in black was sent flying. He felt that all the bones in his body had cracked. However, before he could recover, a bloody sword light rushed towards him. The sword light was too terrifying. The murderous aura on it was shocking. Before the sword light arrived, the aura was already enough to make people tremble. Oh no! His expression changed drastically, and a hint of fear appeared in his eyes. In his current state, he could not withstand the sword at all. Gritting his teeth, the young man in black used a life-saving technique. A ball of black light appeared under his feet. It suddenly exploded, causing his speed to increase exponentially. Only then did he manage to dodge the sword. Huff! Huff! The young man in black came to the side, panting. Although it was only a few moves, it was as if he had experienced the cycle of life and death. Let's attack together. I don't believe that the 3 of us can take him down, Huang Xiaoxiao shouted. She wanted to combine the strength of the 3 to kill Lin Xian. Chapter 802. Let's attack together. The three of us will kill him! Huang Xiaoxiao shouted and moved quickly. Lin Feng followed behind and gripped the crescent blade in his hand tightly. The young man in black gritted his teeth and attacked as well. He had to kill his opponent to prove himself. Otherwise, today's battle would become his inner demon and obstruct his future path in the martial Tao. The three of them attacked Lin Xian from 3 different directions. Everyone held their breaths and watched with wide eyes. This was a scene that they would never see again. Hong Wuji's expression was similarly solemn. These 3 people were all second-level venerables, and each of them was extremely powerful and could suppress an entire region. Now that the 3 of them had joined forces, their aura was absolutely terrifying. Even he was not confident of winning. Hence, in his opinion, Lin Xian would not be able to handle it. Lin Xian frowned. The 3 second-level honorables had indeed given him a lot of pressure. However, since he had chosen to attack, he did not plan to lose. Not only that, but he also wanted to teach this person a lesson. In the next instant, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the blood sword in the sky. He then swept it out. Boom! The blood sword chi surged and drew an arc in the sky. It carried a violent murderous aura and tore the void apart. The power of this sword was terrifying and the murderous aura was shocking. It was like a vast ocean, surging violently. Lin Xian's combat power was shocking. When he swung his sword, the entire space turned blood red. Boom! The blood sword chi finally collided with the 3 of them, and the energy exploded instantly. The tea house was protected by a powerful array and was not damaged. However, everything in the tea house was turned into ashes. Some of the weaker martial artists were swept by the energy shockwaves and immediately vomited blood. He blocked it again. Hong Wuji's sword chi surrounded him and shattered the energy around him. Hence, he continued to sit there. However, his expression did not look very good. That was because he realized that Lin Xian had blocked the 3 of them. Huang Xiaoxiao and the other 2 looked even worse. They were all shocked and could not believe it. The other party was actually able to contend against them all by himself? Perhaps even those powerful older generation ancient martial art practitioners would not be able to do so. Were they shocked? Lin Xian sneered. You think you are powerful, but you are just frogs at the bottom of a well. Then, he swung his sword again and turned around at the same time. Sky-splitting blood sword! This sword came from the inheritance of the blood-colored killing sword in the king's stone statue. Bang! The 3 of them were sent flying by the sword, and the entire space was annihilated. Shock, absolute shock. Everyone was shocked by the mysterious youth's battle prowess, but they were also very curious about what he looked like. Therefore, many people looked over with rapt attention. Even Huang Xiaoxiao and the other 2, who had retreated far away, looked up. Then, someone exclaimed, What? It's him, the genius scholar! It's him, it's him! I told you, that scholar is definitely a genius! Haha, I was right! Many people in the crowd cheered excitedly. As for Huang Xiaoxiao and the other 2, their expressions became extremely ugly. From the discussions of the crowd, they understood that this mysterious expert was the scholar they were looking for. However, the ironic thing was that not long ago, they had been chatting merrily before the crowd, completely disregarding the white-clothed scholar. But now, even with the 3 of them joining hands, they were still unable to defeat him. A slap in the face, a blatant slap in the face. Hong Wuji was also watching with rapt attention. He did not expect that the mysterious youth was the person he was looking for. Staring at the other party, Hong Wuji's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. However, he did not act rashly. The other party's battle just now was too shocking. His strength was definitely not inferior to his. Lin Xian looked at the shocked expressions of Huang Xiaoxiao and the other 2 and immediately sneered. He said coldly, The 3 of you were very arrogant before. Didn't you say that you wanted to kill me? Why aren't you coming now? He sneered, then waved his sleeve and summoned the golden-feathered divine eagle. Come, the thing you want is here! Lin Xian held the blood sword in his hand and looked around disdainfully. His gaze was like a sword as he stared at the three people in front of him. Huang Xiaoxiao and the other two's expressions were ugly. They glared at him angrily and trembled with anger. Shameful, too shameful. Who would dare to provoke the three of them? They were usually high and mighty existences. But now, they were actually suppressed by the same person to the point that they could not raise their heads. Kid, don't go too far! Ling Feng looked at the golden-feathered divine eagle in the distance, his eyes burning with anger. That was the mutated beast of his family. Now that it was being used, he was being humiliated in public. Going too far? Lin Xian laughed. I'm bullying you. Are you unhappy? If you're unhappy, you can fight. I'll take you on any time. Lin Xian stepped forward and said loudly. The surrounding people were shocked. This young man was too domineering. He did not give the Ling family any face at all. However, most of them agreed and were excited. They imagined that Lin Xian was them. Damn it, the Ling family won't let you off! Ling Feng roared angrily. How is it? You feel terrible, right? Lin Xian sneered. When you were so arrogant and wanted to kill me, did you think about my feelings? Now you can't take it anymore. Where's your arrogance from before? I thought you were some kind of expert or genius. Now it seems that you're just trash. 3 trash. Lin Xian's voice was cold. His words were sharp and merciless. Indeed, 3 trash. Hong Wuji snorted disdainfully. You! Ling Feng and the other two trembled in anger. They almost vomited blood. Their faces were ferocious. They wanted to fight with their lives, but they did not have the courage to do so. Not only are they trash, but they're also 3 cowards. Lin Xian sneered. Kid, ignore them. Why don't we fight? Hong Wuji's eyes shone brightly. No hurry. Let's get rid of the 3 of them first. Lin Xian walked over slowly with the blood sword in his hand. What are you trying to do? Ling Feng and Huang Xiaoxiao panicked. Kill. Lin Xian's voice was cold. You're here to kill me. Do you think I'll let you go? Hearing this, Ling Feng and the other two's pupils shrank. Their faces were filled with fear. You dare to kill me? You don't want to live anymore. They were indeed stunned and exclaimed in shock. That's right, they had lost face, but they had never been worried about their own safety. The 3 of them had extraordinary identities. 2 of them were disciples of big families in Wind-Seeking City, while the other was a disciple of Senmu College. Their identities were noble, and no one dared to offend them. Not to mention, no one dared to kill them. But now, a young man wanted to kill all 3 of them at the same time. How audacious! Kid, if you dare to touch a hair of mine, there will be no place for you in Wind-Seeking City. Huang Xiaoxiao said in a sharp voice. You're dead. The Ling family will not let you go. Ling Feng roared with hatred. If you dare to touch me, you'll be hunted down endlessly. Chapter 803. You're dead. The Ling family will not let you off. Ling Feng roared. How dare you touch me? You'll be hunted down endlessly. Poof! Before Ling Feng could finish his sentence, the blood-red sword slashed down, and Ling Feng's head flew into the air. What? Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to kill Ling Feng so decisively. Huang Xiaoxiao and the black-clothed youth were stunned as well. They stood rooted to the ground. Ling Feng's head flew into the air and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He could not believe that Lin Xian dared to kill him. Was he not afraid of the Ling family's revenge? Lin Feng's head fell to the ground with disbelief and unwillingness. Poof! Poof! Lin Feng's headless body fell to the ground, and his blood flowed like a river. However, something even stranger happened. All the blood was attracted by the blood sword in Lin Xian's hand and absorbed. A hazy blood diagram appeared behind Lin Xian's back. It was extremely mysterious. At that moment, Lin Xian felt that his understanding of the blood sword legacy had deepened. Soon, the blood on the ground was sucked dry and Ling Feng's body became a dried corpse. Lin Xian turned his eyes and stared at Huang Xiaoxiao and the young man in black. Huang Xiaoxiao felt Lin Xian's gaze and woke up from her daze. She screamed. "Ah! You killed him! You're dead! The Lung family will not let you off!" Her face was covered in blood. Coupled with her panicked expression, she looked terrifying. "I killed you because you deserve to die." Lin Xian's voice was cold as he raised the blood-red sword in his hand again. "No, don't kill me!" Huang Xiaoxiao was finally afraid when she felt the violent killing intent. She did not want to die. "Let me go and I'll agree to anything you want." Huang Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with pleading and seduction. "As long as you're willing, my body will be yours." Her voice was alluring and seductive. "I'm not interested in you." Lin Xian sneered and shook his head. The blood-red sword stabbed into Ling Feng's body. Poof! The sword pierced through Ling Feng's heart. "You! The Huang family will avenge me!" Huang Xiaoxiao used the last of her strength and screamed. At the same time, she burned the last of her blood and used a secret technique to attack Lin Xian. "Ha! You're dead! Even if you kill me, the Huang family won't let you off!" Huang Xiaoxiao revealed a final trace of malevolence before falling to the ground. Lin Xian frowned slightly. He could feel that there was something extra in his body, but he couldn't detect it. Temporarily putting aside the doubts in his heart, he once again looked at the last black-clothed martial artist. Don't kill me!" The black-clothed youth was terrified and no longer had his previous arrogance. "I'm warning you. I'm a disciple of Senmu College and a member of Dao Ling Association. The Dao Spirit Association was established by the disciples of the Yan family. You can't afford to offend them." "Dao Spirit Association?" Lin Xian laughed, his mouth full of disdain. He slowly lowered his head and looked down at the black-clothed youth. "I even dared to kill Yan Qingyang, not to mention you." "What you are?" The black-clothed youth was shocked and terrified. A figure appeared in his mind. He finally knew who the scholar in front of him was. However, he didn't have the chance to speak because the crimson sword had already pierced his chest. Plop! When the last corpse turned into a mummy and fell, the crowd recovered from the shock. Too shocking, too exciting. One person had killed 3 top young experts, and they were all of noble status. It wouldn't be long before Wind-Seeking City would riot. At least the Huang family and the Ling family wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. Hong Wuji was also slightly stunned. The young man in front of him had once again exceeded his expectations. Even if he was the young master of Red Leaf Valley, he wouldn't dare to kill the 3 of them at the same time. One could imagine how shocked he was. "Interesting, very interesting," Hong Wuji exclaimed. "Red Leaf Valley has always been arrogant. I didn't expect to see someone even more arrogant today. Kid, you've got guts." The 6 girls looked surprised. They had never heard of anyone being praised by Hong Wuji before. Hong Wuji's eyes shone brightly and a powerful aura was released from his body. "However, I still have to suppress you. I've said it before. You're no match for me." He stood up slowly. His aura was as sharp as a divine sword that had been unsheathed. Lin Xian held the crimson sword in his hand and looked at Hong Wuji. Behind him, a sea of blood surged and a murderous aura shot up to the sky. Boom! Their auras collided and an earth-shattering explosion was heard. It almost tore the entire tea house's defense apart. The crowd retreated and watched anxiously. Just as the 2 of them were about to attack, a long roar was heard from afar. "Who dares to kill the disciples of the Huang family?" The voice was filled with anger like a ferocious tiger. It was extremely terrifying. Along with them, several powerful auras were rushing towards them at high speed. "Oh no, the Huang family is here." The crowd was shocked. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect the other party to be alerted so quickly. He looked at Hong Wuji and said coldly, "We'll fight another day." Then, Lin Xian turned into a ray of sword light and flew into the distance. "Thief, where do you think you're going?" Just as Lin Xian left the tea house, a terrifying palm of light fell quickly. The palm was glowing with green light like a ghost claw and covered a radius of 1,000 meters. The sky suddenly darkened and a terrifying aura surged. The green ghost claw covered the sky and formed rays of green light. They intertwined to form a light cage and trapped Lin Xian. The cage was hard as if it was made of divine metal. It was extremely sturdy and looked like a prison from hell. It was difficult to escape. "Little bastard, how dare you kill the disciples of the Huang family? How dare you?" The person who came was an elder in green. He was an elder of the Huang family. He shouted, "Today, I'll extract your soul and refine it so that you'll never be reincarnated." The elder's expression was ferocious and murderous. The moment they knew that Huang Xiaoxiao was dead, the entire Huang family almost went crazy. Huang Xiaoxiao was a genius disciple of the Huang family, and one of the most promising ones. But now, he was actually killed by someone. They couldn't accept it. They didn't even dare to believe it. One should know that the Huang family was considered a powerful force in Wind-Seeking City. Even some elites didn't dare to provoke them. Moreover, no one dared to kill a disciple of the Huang family unless they were mortal enemies. Therefore, they didn't believe that Huang Xiaoxiao was dead. However, the nameplate that represented Huang Xiaoxiao's identity was broken. They also sensed the blood mark that Huang Xiaoxiao made before she died. That was a secret technique of the Huang family. At the cost of one's life, they would make a tracking mark that could clearly guide the enemy. However, this secret technique wouldn't be used until they were on the brink of death. Since the blood mark appeared, it meant that Huang Xiaoxiao was really dead. Thinking of this, the elder in green robe's expression became ferocious. "Kid, dying 10,000 times isn't enough to atone for your sins. I'll cut off your flesh piece by piece. I'll let you live like a dog. I'll let you live a life worse than death." Chapter 804. The green-robed elder was furious. He wanted nothing more than to tear the other party apart. The green ghost claw covered the sky and released countless auras, forming a hellish cage. Everyone was shocked. The scene was too terrifying. As expected of an elder. However, most of them were worried for Lin Xian. After all, they had seen what happened with their own eyes. It was not that Lin Xian was a killer, but that Huang Xiaoxiao and the others had gone too far. Anyone would have attacked if they were in Lin Xian's shoes. Lin Xian roared and waved the blood sword in his hand, releasing a monstrous sword radiance. A violent and shocking killing aura surged. A sea of blood appeared and slapped in all directions, tearing the green cage apart in an instant. Whoosh! Lin Xian turned into a sword radiance, and flew out of the cage. He stood in the air and stared at the green-robed elder. "Bastard, I want you dead!" The green-robed elder's killing intent surged. Behind him, dozens of lights lit up and rushed over. These people were all experts of the Huang family. They were all here to capture the murderer. Everyone in Wind-Seeking City knows who's right and who's wrong. If it weren't for your disciples being too arrogant and vicious, they wouldn't have died. The reason why they were so arrogant and vicious was because they had your support. So, the one who killed them wasn't me, but you. If you old things continue to be arrogant and protect them, more disciples will die," Lin Xian said with a sonorous voice, holding the killing sword in his hand. "What nonsense!" The green-robed elder was trembling with anger. At this time, the experts of the other families had also arrived. They were all glaring at Lin Xian as if they had lost their minds. "How dare you kill Sister Xiao? I'll kill you!" A young man with a ferocious face walked out. The killing intent in his eyes surged, turning into tangible radiance, terrifying and terrifying. "You can't!" Lin Xian sneered. "Let those old things do it. You're courting death." The young man was furious. His name was Huang Luo, and he was one of the 3 strongest people in the younger generation of the Huang family. His strength was even above Huang Xiaoxiao's. When he heard Lin Xian's mockery, he immediately roared and rushed over. "No!" The green-robed old man shouted from behind, his face full of anxiety. They had already lost Huang Xiaoxiao. They couldn't afford to lose Huang Luo. Otherwise, there wouldn't be many people left in the younger generation of the Huang family. However, his reminder was too late. With Huang Luo's speed, he arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. With a flash of light, a high-grade spirit-rank treasured saber appeared in his hand. The saber radiance was resplendent like the Milky Way, pouring down in torrents with a terrifying aura that could destroy everything. "Brat, die!" Huang Luo laughed savagely. However, Lin Xian only smiled disdainfully. His eyes focused, and the sword of slaughter in his hand became even more solid, as if it was a real sword. Killing frenzy. The sword radiance flickered like a blood-red dragon attacking, its roar shaking the heavens. Clang! Puff! The resplendent saber radiance was sent flying, and the terrifying blood-red sword she slashed at Huang Luo. "No! Block it!" Huang Luo didn't expect his opponent to be so powerful that he could break his attack in an instant. In a panic, he quickly defended himself. However, he didn't know that Lin Xian had mastered the blood sword inheritance, and his body also had the great dragon sword soul, a heaven-defying offensive saint technique. Therefore, the power of this sword was extremely powerful. Puff! His defense shattered in an instant. Huang Luo's pupils constricted. He felt the cold sword she pierce his body, and then mercilessly slash through his body. Then, his senses disappeared. Along with the disappearance of his consciousness, there was also shock and fear. Puff! In the sky, Huang Luo's body was cut in half by the sword radiance. Puff! Puff! A rain of blood fell, as if it was attracted by an invisible force, and all of it entered Lin Xian's blood sword and the sea of blood behind him. "No!" Everyone in the Huang family was stunned, and then they screamed crazily. "He's dead! He's dead again!" The second strongest youth in their family had died in front of them. "Ah, I hate it! Bastard, I'll definitely kill you!" The green-robed elder roared at the sky. His voice was like thunder, and it shattered the surrounding buildings. A powerful and violent aura gushed out like a volcanic eruption, blasting the clouds in the sky away. More Huang family martial artists moved, and they surrounded Lin Xian. Today, they must kill this sinner in front of them. Lin Xian looked around, and the corner of his mouth curled up in disdain. A piece of trash like this would die with a single sword strike. He really didn't know what they were sad about. Puff! Several Huang family elders were so angry that they vomited blood, and their bodies trembled. Trash, the second strongest youth in their family, was called trash by someone else? Intolerable, absolutely intolerable. "Kill! Tear him into pieces!" The green-robed elder roared, and he took the initiative to attack. With a punch, the mountains and rivers shattered, and the wind whistled in the void as if it was going to tear the sky apart. "You want to fight? Then come!" Lin Xian roared, and his eyes flashed. Behind him, the sea of blood surged. Boom! A great battle broke out. Lin Xian formed a seal with his left hand, and a blood-red mountain appeared. It enlarged in the air and collided with the green-robed fist. The entire mountain was blood-red, as if it was a mountain from hell. It was extremely terrifying, and the green-robed fist was pushed back in an instant. Then, he swung his right hand, and the blood-red sword light turned into a furious dragon that pounced in all directions. Ah! 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 In an instant, a few screams were heard. Some of the weaker Huang family disciples were cut in half by the blood-red sword light, and their blood was sucked away. "Back off!" the green-robed elder roared. "Those below the second sky of martial honor realm, leave. Go and inform the Ling family that their genius has been killed too." In an instant, the entire sky was cleared, and only Lin Xian and the 6 ferocious-looking elders were left. "Kid, you won't be able to escape death today." The green-robed elder's voice was cold. Even a 3rd sky martial honor wouldn't dare to face 6 second sky martial honors head-on, let alone this little thief who wasn't even a 3rd sky martial honor. Feeling that the blood-red sword and the sea of blood behind him were getting stronger, Lin Xian's gaze was like a sword radiance that swept across the surroundings fearlessly. He formed a seal with his left hand, and his right hand held the sword as he attacked rapidly. Attack! The 6 elders also attacked fiercely, using their own unique skills. Boom! A blood-red moon spun rapidly, and the moonlight was like a blood-red ribbon that quickly wrapped around the 2 elders. Then, a golden sun appeared in the sky, shining with golden light. It was extremely terrifying. Crack! Countless rays of light fell, forming golden sword radiances that pierced towards the 2 elders. The golden radiances contained powerful lightning energy that made one's scalp go numb. The 2 elders were shocked, and they used all their strength to escape at the last moment. However, they were still swept by a few lightning sword radiances, and the sky exploded with lightning, sending the 2 elders flying. What? So powerful! The people below were shocked. Facing the attacks of 6 elders, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all, and he even managed to injure 2 of them in an instant. His strength and experience were too terrifying. You're courting death! The green-robed elder was enraged, and a green-robed skeleton appeared behind him. It was extremely strange. Accompanying it was a terrifying aura that filled the sky. Chapter 805. A green skeleton appeared behind the green-clothed elder, emitting a terrifying aura. Boom! The entire sky suddenly boiled like a vast ocean, surging and surging violently. Martial soul! It's a martial soul! The crowd exclaimed. They did not expect the green-clothed elder to use his martial soul. It seemed like he was going to fight for real. The green skeleton was very eye-catching. The green skeleton was very tall and there were mysterious patterns on it, emitting a terrifying aura. He stood in the void like a demon, terrifying everyone's hearts and souls. I said I'll kill you today! The green-clothed elder's voice was ferocious. His eyes were as sharp as knives as he stared at Lin Xian. In the other direction, the elders also summoned their martial souls. They were mighty and terrifying. Swoosh! The green skeleton moved and turned into a ray of light, rushing toward Lin Xian. Swoosh! In an instant, he was beside Lin Xian. The skeleton's palm slapped down mercilessly. The palm glowed with a green light, as if it was made of green gold. It slashed toward Lin Xian like a treasure weapon. Lin Xian clenched his fist. Red flames danced on his fist, wrapping around his fist. Like a meteor, he quickly punched out. Clang! When the two collided, an earth-shattering boom rang out. The entire sky trembled as visible energy ripples spread out in all directions. The green-clothed elder summoned his martial soul and fought with Lin Xian. However, what shocked everyone was that Lin Xian did not summon his martial soul. Instead, he used his fist to fight against the elder's martial soul. Just how confident must he be? The green-clothed elder sneered. He controlled the skeleton martial soul and used a powerful martial skill to attack his opponent. Boom! Light shot out in all directions like fireworks. However, there was a fatal killing intent hidden in the light. Vermilion bird seal! Lin Xian waved his hand and shot out a flame. A huge vermilion bird was born from the flame and quickly rushed into the sky. When the vermilion bird appeared, the entire sky was dyed red. A scorching aura spread out, as if it was going to evaporate people. Not only was the heat unbearable, it could also evaporate spiritual energy. The green skeleton was affected, and its bronze body began to fade as if it was about to melt. Humph! The azure-robed old man snorted coldly, and controlled the azure-robed skeleton to spit out an azure-colored cloud. The flames in the sky dimmed as if they were being corroded by the mist. What a terrifying poison! Everyone was terrified and quickly fled. This poison was too terrifying. Even a third heaven venerable would not dare to take it head-on. Ha ha, kid, let's see what you can do! Turn into a puddle of blood under my poison! The green-robed old man's face was ferocious. He felt a thrill of revenge. However, in the next moment, the pleasure suddenly disappeared. What? Impossible! his pupils shrank as he cried out in shock. He couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. This was because Lin Xian had already escaped the poison's range and instantly appeared in front of him. So fast, this speed. How is this possible? The green-robed elder shrieked. Even a third heaven venerable realm cultivator probably wouldn't have such speed. The surrounding martial artists were even more shocked. They couldn't see it clearly at all. Hong Wuji frowned. Could this speed be an earth-grade martial art? He guessed in his heart, but he couldn't be sure. However, that movement technique was too fast, and it shocked him. It must be a peerless martial art to have such speed. In fact, his guess was right. Lin Xian was using an earth-grade movement technique, the Phantom Illusionary Demonic Steps. He had already practiced this earth-grade movement technique to the small success stage. When he used it now, his speed was incomparable, and even ghosts and gods couldn't dodge it. Even a third heaven venerable realm cultivator might not have such speed. Boom! In the next moment, Lin Xian swung his sword and slashed at the green-robed elder in front of him. Oh no! The green-robed elder's scalp went numb. Not to mention the sword chi, just the overflowing killing intent was enough to make his heart beat wildly. Was he still human? He had never seen such a powerful killing intent before. It was like a god of death. The green-robed elder waved his hand and hurriedly shot out a light shadow to defend himself. Poof! However, it was useless. Those palm shadows were instantly shattered by Lin Xian's blood-red sword. They couldn't block it at all. What? The green-robed elder was shocked. He didn't expect Lin Xian's attack to be so fierce that it instantly shattered all his palm shadows. In the next moment, the blood-red sword chi quickly slashed at him. Retreat! The green-robed elder didn't dare to take it head-on. He quickly retreated, and at the same time, he waved his hands and summoned his martial soul to defend himself. Although he retreated extremely quickly, he still underestimated Lin Xian's speed. This sword was as fast as lightning. The red sword chi turned into a blood-red lightning bolt and quickly slashed at his arm. Poof! Blood splattered. Half of the green-robed elder's right arm was chopped off. Ah! The green-robed elder's scalp went numb. His eyes were filled with horror as he turned into a green light and fled quickly. The crowd below was shocked and fell into silence. Even the Huang family elders' expressions changed drastically. The green-robed elder was also a powerful existence among them, but he was injured and fled in just a short moment. The situation changed too quickly, and they couldn't accept it at all. Trash. Not only are the younger generation trash, but the older generation is also trash. Lin Xian's voice was like thunder as he mocked mercilessly. You're courting death. How dare you insult the Huang family? I'll destroy you today. The other Huang family elders couldn't listen to it anymore. Although Lin Xian was powerful, they weren't weak either. Moreover, they had the advantage in numbers. If they joined forces, they could definitely suppress Lin Xian. Two Huang family elders walked up. One of them had a head of white hair and an old face, but his eyes were sharper than a blade. Obviously, he was a second-level Honorable Realm expert. Moreover, he was a second-level Honorable Realm expert. The other person was also an old man. However, he was wearing an ice-cold black armor that completely protected his body. The black battle suit emitted a cold light, and on its surface, there were many mysterious patterns flickering. This is a top spiritual treasure. Everyone was shocked. This level of armor could be said to be extremely tough and difficult to break. They didn't expect the Huang family elders to have such armor. It seemed like there was no suspense in this battle. Lin Xian probably couldn't break the armor's defense. Many people gasped and shook their heads slightly, feeling pity for Lin Xian. A top spiritual treasure was extremely powerful and would definitely be a great help. At this moment, the Huang family elder was wearing a black armor, which was equivalent to having an extra life. Among those of the same level, no one was his match. Humph, little thief, die. The Huang family elder in black armor only had his eyes exposed. The rest of his body was completely covered by the black armor. He was like a demon king as he slowly walked over in the air. Every step he took caused a huge explosion in the air, and countless waves swept in all directions. On the other side, the white-haired elder also walked over, holding a purple longsword in his hand. The longsword flickered, and there was a purple light on it. It was like a sunset that danced in the sky, making him look like a sword god. Obviously, the purple longsword was also a top spiritual treasure. The purple longsword was also engraved with mysterious inscriptions that contained a powerful attack. Chapter 806. The two elders sneered and attacked Lin Xian from both sides. Without wasting any time, the two of them attacked instantly. The white-haired elder wielded a purple long sword and slashed out quickly. A blazing sword radiance lit up the entire sky. The radiance was resplendent, illuminating tens of thousands of miles. The white-haired elder wielded a purple sword and slashed out quickly. The sword radiance flashed and tore through the void, quickly slashing towards Lin Xian. A top-grade spirit-grade sword? Lin Xian's lips curled up slightly. He quickly drew the wind shadow sword from his waist and stabbed out as well. The green jade-like sword gradually enlarged into a giant sword that was dozens of feet long. It was terrifying and heavy. On top of it, streaks of green chi flowed. Together with the inscriptions on it, it released a mysterious and sharp aura. It was like a divine sword that slashed down quickly. What? Another top-grade spirit-grade sword? Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to have such a sword on him. Lin Xian waved the wind shadow sword. Terrifying sword chi swept out in all directions, crushing the void. Streaks of sword chi that were hundreds of feet long slashed forward quickly. The two sword lights intersected, and it was as if two furious dragons were roaring as they fought each other. In an instant, the sky was torn apart. The sword chi turned into a rain of light that scattered in all directions. Every strike could sink the earth. Kill! On the other side, the elder of the Huang family in black armor also attacked. He was like a black god of war, walking in the void. Every step he took cracked the void. He punched out, and his fist, which was wrapped in black armor, rapidly enlarged. It was like a black demonic mountain, rapidly crashing over. Bam! 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 Lin Xian wielded the wind shadow sword and stabbed it into the sky. Every strike caused the sky to tremble violently. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. He fought against two Huang family elders by himself, waving out streaks of sword chi that caused people's hearts to tremble. Every time they collided, the sky would be torn apart. It was like a clap of thunder that fell in all directions. Everyone was hit by the shockwaves. Their bodies trembled, and many people quickly retreated with blood flowing out of the corners of their mouths. This young man is too terrifying! Many people were shocked. Impossible! This is impossible! As for the Huang family disciples, their faces were filled with disbelief. Two of their elders were wielding top spirit step treasures, but even after joining forces, they still weren't able to defeat this young man. This was just too shocking. They couldn't accept it. This child is incredible. When he grows up in the future, he will definitely defy the heavens. An older generation figure sighed in admiration. Hong Wuji clasped his hands behind his back and glared at Lin Xian. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit as sword chi surged from his body. He was equally shocked. Lin Xian's strength had once again exceeded his expectations. Interesting. It's rare to meet such an opponent. Hong Wuji revealed a sinister smile. He looked like an evil god. At this moment, the battle situation in the sky changed again. The white-haired elder tossed the purple sword into the air. Countless rays of purple light surged out from the sword, forming streaks of sword chi that shot out in all directions. In an instant, tens of thousands of purple rays of light shot into the sky. Each ray of purple sword chi was like a waterfall that fell from the sky. Tens of thousands of similar sword chi fell, forming a huge cage that trapped Lin Xian. This scene was extremely shocking. The entire sky was filled with purple chi and murderous intent. Lin Xian was directly below the purple sword and was surrounded by countless purple sword chi. Moreover, those terrifying sword chi quickly pierced towards his body. On the other side, the elder in black armor also made his move. His body expanded rapidly and finally became 100 meters tall like a giant. He waved his fist and struck out with a terrifying force. It was like a meteorite from outer space that ruthlessly smashed into the ground. This force was shocking and very strange. It directly passed through the purple sword light and surged towards Lin Xian. The tens of thousands of sword lights in the surroundings glowed brightly, forming a purple cage that trapped Lin Xian. As expected of an elder of the Huang family. How terrifying! When the two of them worked together, they could even contend against a third-level venerable. That kid is dead for sure. No one who dares to provoke our Huang family will have a good ending. The Huang family disciples were all excited. In the next moment, the sky trembled violently and an earth-shattering explosion spread in all directions. Is it over? The Huang family elders in the sky heaved a sigh of relief. That kid was really difficult to deal with. If he grew up, he would definitely be a huge threat to their family. This is your strength? How pitifully weak! Suddenly, a disdainful voice rang out from the energy storm. What? He's fine! Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. Impossible! The pupils of the Huang family elders in the sky constricted, and their faces were filled with shock. They stared at the energy storm in the center, and their breathing gradually became heavier. Soon, the violent energy storm dissipated, revealing the figure in the center. They saw Lin Xian standing in the void. His clothes fluttered in the wind, and there was no trace of damage. Impossible! Absolutely impossible! The two elders who attacked went crazy. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Their attack just now was enough to injure a third-level venerable, but the young man in front of them was unharmed? This had already exceeded their imagination. Humph! Ignorant! Lin Xian sneered. When he was attacked just now, he did not hesitate to use the shadow of the Red Lotus armor to block all the attacks. That was why he looked unharmed. However, it was really dangerous just now. If he did not have the Red Lotus armor, he would have been in danger. When he thought of this, Lin Xian's face darkened. You're done attacking. It's my turn now! The voice was cold, and it was like a god of death walking out from the void. Countless blood vessels surged and wrapped around the wind shadow sword, forming a scarlet light. He held the killing sword in his hand and walked forward step by step. With every step he took, the aura on his body became stronger, and the murderous aura became denser. In the end, a boundless sea of blood condensed around him, and a terrifying illusion appeared. Damn it! Stop right there! The white-haired elder and the elder in black armor were horrified. They quickly moved to stop the other party. The purple sword light and the black fist quickly swept through the void and blasted towards Lin Xian. However, in the next moment, red lines appeared in front of the crowd and formed a huge shadow of the armor. It blocked in front of Lin Xian and blocked all the attacks. Lin Xian sneered and walked over step by step. He never stopped walking, and the rhythm of each step did not even change. He walked confidently and calmly towards the elder of the Huang family. In the next moment, he raised the long sword in his hand and quickly stabbed at the white-haired elder. You're courting death! The white-haired elder roared and waved his purple sword. Countless purple sword lights surged out like a purple waterfall and surrounded him in the air, forming a solid defense. However, all of this was useless. Lin Xian's murderous intent and attack power were at their peak, and those purple sword lights could not stop him at all. The blood-colored sword light fell and cut everything in front of it in half, including the body of the white-haired elder. With a clench of his hand, Lin Xian took the elder's storage ring. Then, the blood sword vibrated and formed a suction force that sucked all the essence and blood of the dead white-haired elder. After doing all this, he turned to look at the elder in black armor. Chapter 807. The elders of the Huang family were all dumbstruck. They couldn't believe what had just happened. Their family's expert had been cut in half by a young man. They couldn't accept it at all. Now, many of the elders were regretting. What kind of demon had they provoked to be so powerful? The elder in black armor felt his scalp go numb. At this moment, he was being stared at by Lin Xian, and his whole body trembled. Although the armor was a top spiritual rank artifact, it couldn't withstand the shocking killing intent. He was like a small boat in a sea of blood that could be overturned by a huge wave at any time. This feeling was too terrifying and too powerless. He didn't feel this way even when facing the family's experts and the venerable from Sanchong village. "Stop! Don't fight, don't fight!" The elder in black armor shouted loudly. He was really scared. His companion's strength was similar to his, and he also had a top spiritual rank artifact. However, he was still cut in half by the young man. This scene deeply stimulated him. He knew that the young man in front of him couldn't be judged by common sense. This matter is our Huang family's disciples' fault. I'll go back and teach them a lesson. The grudge between us is over, the elder in black armor said quickly. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the powerful Huang family to admit defeat. "Stop fighting?" Lin Xian sneered. "Stop fighting? You brought a group of people to kill me? Stop fighting? 6 of you besieged me? Stop fighting? You used top-rank artifacts to kill me? Now that you can't beat me and say stop fighting, I want to know if I can beat you and say stop, will you hold back?" Lin Xian's lips curled into a mocking smile. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. "If I can't beat you, I'm afraid I'll be killed by you mercilessly. Now that you're telling me to stop fighting, do you think I'll let you go?" Lin Xian didn't hesitate, and quickly slashed down with his sword. "Kid, you're courting death. Don't be so shameless." The elder in black armor was furious. He had already lowered his stance, but Lin Xian still wanted to attack. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. The funny thing was, they were the ones who chased after Lin Xian first. Now that they couldn't beat him in the middle of the fight, they wanted to stop. How could it be so easy? "Block it for me!" The black-armored boss shouted, and the black armor on his body bloomed with a black light. An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the black-armored elder was sent flying, coughing up blood. However, he did not suffer any external injuries. The sword she was blocked. "Ha ha ha, I have a spirit-grade battle armor. Even if you have a sword of the same grade, it will be difficult to break through my defense. In other words, you can't kill me." Lin Xian scoffed. "People like you don't need to exist in this world." She held the killing sword in her hand and walked forward step by step. "It's useless. You can't break my defense." The elder in black armor sneered disdainfully. "Can't break your defense? You're thinking too much." Lin Xian quickly swung his sword. The killing sword hummed and enlarged in the air. It was 100 feet long like a mountain ridge. Lin Xian held it in his hand and slashed it down quickly. The sword was extremely fierce and powerful. It was as if it could cut the sky open. Boom! The terrifying attack landed on the elder in black armor and sent him flying. The elder flew backward and spat out blood. Although the black armor was extremely hard and could defend against swords and sabers, the powerful impact went through the armor and hit him directly. The power almost made his body split open. "What? Damn it!" The elder in black armor looked ferocious. He couldn't believe it. In the next moment, Lin Xian appeared in front of him again. The giant sword in his hand fell quickly. The sword light flashed and connected heaven and earth, forming a strange and terrifying scene. Bang! The black-armored elder was sent flying again. His black armor shone with flowing light, blocking most of the force. However, the terrifying killing intent and shocking sword intent could not be eliminated. It directly bombarded the black-clothed elder, as if it wanted to tear him apart. "Stop, stop! Let's talk!" The elder in black was terrified again. He realized that Lin Xian still had the ability to kill him. Therefore, he had to lower his head and beg for his life. At this time, the elders around were also furious. They all attacked, trying to stop Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian did not give them a chance. A long black sword appeared in his hand, exuding a terrifying aura of death. Sword of Nirvana. The sword stabbed out, and the strange long black sword quickly sucked away the elder's vitality. Then, a shocking and strange scene appeared in the sky. The long black sword did not pierce the elder in black. However, the elder's body gradually withered and his face aged. It was as if he had aged more than 100 years in an instant. Soon, he turned into a pile of bones. Lin Xian waved his sleeve, turning the bones into dust. Then, he grabbed the black armor and put it into his storage ring. Die, little thief! Leave the treasure behind! At this time, the elders from the imperial family rushed over again, trying to surround Lin Xian. At the same time, a shocking roar came from afar. Several terrifying auras appeared like ancient fierce beasts, covering the whole sky. Lin Clan! The Lin Clan's experts are here! Everyone was shocked. The other big clan in Wenfeng City had finally sent an expert. "Ha, kid, you're dead!" The elders from the Huang clan were excited. Lin Xian's eyes flickered and his brows furrowed. He snorted and put away his long sword. "I'll spare your lives today. However, I'll make sure the Lin clan and Huang clan disappear from Wenfeng City." Then, his body turned into a ray of light and rushed into the sky. "Stop him! Don't let him run away!" The elder from the Huang clan was shocked. They had waited so long for the Lin clan's experts to come. They would not let him escape. However, they were powerless. The Earth-ranked movement technique was extremely mysterious. It was not something they could compete with. In an instant, countless figures appeared in the sky, and each of them seemed real. These people could not tell which one was the real Lin Xian. When they destroyed all the illusions, they found that Lin Xian was long gone. Swoosh! Swoosh! Dozens of figures landed, and a terrifying aura filled the air. "Who dares to kill the disciples of the Lin clan?" A shocking roar sounded, and it made people's blood spurt out. "Where's that little thief? Tell him to come out and die!" The Lin clan's experts looked around angrily, and their bodies were full of killing intent. However, when they saw the blood on the ground and the Huang clan's casualties, many of their pupils shrank. "That little thief escaped. But don't worry, he's been hit by our Huang clan's blood chi tracking technique. There's no way he can escape." Chapter 808. But we need to discuss how to capture this brat. They had no choice. The other party was powerful and had a strange movement technique. They didn't want to admit it, but he was definitely at the top of the younger generation. If they wanted to kill such a person, they had to deploy their forces well. Lin Xian left Wind-Seeking City and came to a nearby forest. He had gained quite a lot from this battle. The purple long sword and the black armor, the two top-grade spirit-grade artifacts, had been taken by him. The elders of the Huang family must be mad with anger right now. However, Lin Xian didn't feel guilty. In this world, if he didn't kill others, he would be killed. This was the law of this world. He had to adapt. Putting on the black armor, Lin Xian infused his spirit energy into the armor. Suddenly, the black armor shone brightly. Then, the light dimmed and became a tight fit, forming an inner armor. Top spiritual grade artifacts could change their shape at will. Not only could they shrink, but they could also enlarge. It was very magical. The purple longsword was on the same level as his Wind Shadow sword. It was also a good offensive artifact. In addition to the two artifacts, the storage rings of the two people were very rich. Other than that, what made him even more surprised was that his Blood Sword King inheritance seemed to have improved and broken through. After absorbing the blood of so many experts, his Blood Sword King inheritance had finally broken through the first level and reached the second level. In this way, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Now, he could even fight against a third-level Honorable Realm expert. This made him very happy. As expected of a king's inheritance, it was very powerful. There's someone! Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned and looked into the distance. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face. They had actually caught up. His figure flickered, and he disappeared on the spot. Not long after, 10 figures landed and crushed everything in the surroundings into powder. These 10 people had powerful auras and were all second-level honorable realm experts. Damn it, that little thief ran away again! Among them, the elder of the Ling family said fiercely. No matter, he can't escape from our hands. An elder of the Huang family sneered. He was hit by our Huang family's secret technique. In our eyes, it's impossible to hide. It's only a matter of time before we find him. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Soon, the 10 venerables quickly flew away and disappeared on the spot. In front of him, Lin Xian frowned. He had changed his position many times, but the other party was still able to clearly see him. This caused his expression to become somewhat gloomy. Kid, there's a special mark in your body. It must have been left behind by the witch before she died, the Crimson Dragon said. Mark? Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He suddenly recalled that Huang Xiaoxiao had used her remaining HP to attack him before she died. Although he didn't feel anything at the time, it seemed like it was some sort of tracking mark. He was like a lamp in the dark night, clearly visible and with nowhere to hide. Thinking up to this point, Lin Xian's face turned gloomy. While flying at high speed, he used all of his soul force to scan every inch of his body. In the end, he discovered something unusual. If it wasn't for his powerful soul force, he probably wouldn't have noticed it. Even after hiding so deeply, I still managed to find you. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He mobilized the great dragon sword soul in his body and quickly destroyed the dark red mark in his body. What? Lin Xian was a little surprised. He found that the great dragon sword soul couldn't destroy the mark. After trying a few times, his face became gloomy again. This situation was very strange. It was reasonable to say that the great dragon sword soul was an offensive saint art. There shouldn't be anything that couldn't be destroyed. However, the current situation surprised him. The great dragon sword soul is indeed an offensive saint art. But now that it has become your martial soul, it needs your strength to nurture it. The current strength of the great dragon sword soul is far from what it used to be. The Crimson Dragon explained. Only when your strength gradually increases will the great dragon sword soul become more fierce. Now it seems that with your current strength, the great dragon sword soul can't immediately destroy this mark. Moreover, this mark isn't an ordinary mark. It seems to be some kind of ancient secret art. If you want to destroy it, I'm afraid it will take some effort. Lin Xian nodded slightly. He could only use the great dragon sword soul to slowly destroy the mark in his body. But before that, he could temporarily trap the mark and make it lose its senses. In the next moment, countless sword chi intertwined, forming a careful cage that sealed the dark red mark. Behind him, the pupils of the Huang family's elders suddenly shrank, and they stopped. What's wrong? Did you find that kid? The Ling family's expert asked. Damn it! How is that possible? I can't sense him anymore. The 4 Huang family's elders' expressions became very ugly. They tried to sense him again, but they couldn't sense his location at all. This is impossible! One of the Huang family's elders screamed. He couldn't believe that the other party could destroy their family's secret art. One had to know that the secret art was very powerful. Even a third heaven's supremacy couldn't destroy it. However, a first-layer Martial Highness realm kid had managed to nullify their sealing technique. After hearing this news, the Ling family's experts fell silent. Their expressions didn't look very good. What should we do? Should we split up and search? With the 10 of us, that kid can't escape at all. One of the Ling family's experts said. No. Absolutely not. The Huang family's elders shook their heads. That kid's battle strength is very strong. If we fight him alone, none of us will be his match. If we act rashly, it's very likely that he will defeat us one by one. Then what should we do? Do we just go back like this? The Ling family's experts were unwilling to give up. I don't think that kid can destroy our family's secret art. He must have used some method to hide temporarily. As long as we search more, we will definitely be able to find him. In the end, the 10 experts discussed and decided to act together. In the depths of the forest, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon began to set up a formation. He wanted to make sure that those who were chasing him wouldn't be able to return alive. However, he wasn't anxious. Instead, he waited patiently. Firstly, he needed time to slowly erase the mark in his body. Secondly, the other party had sent out 10 second heaven supremacies at the same time. They were extremely powerful. Even he had to be careful when dealing with them. Fortunately, other than the great dragon sword soul that could erase the crimson mark, he also had the heaven-changing technique that could conceal his aura. This ensured his safety. 3 days later, Lin Xian decided to act. He deliberately released a wisp of his aura to lure the 10 experts into the formation so that he could destroy them one by one. That kid's aura has appeared. Suddenly, the Huang family's elders in the forest behind him were overjoyed and sped up. Very soon, the 10 experts arrived and scanned the surroundings. That kid's aura just appeared here. He can't have gone far. The 10 supremacies wandered around nearby. However, in the next moment, the air suddenly fluctuated. The scene around them changed drastically, and a shocking light enveloped them. Chapter 809. It's a formation! The 10 experts were shocked. They didn't expect the other party to set up a formation to wait for them. It's just a formation. Do you think you can trap the 10 of us? What a joke! The Ling family's expert was disdainful. The other party was just a first heaven venerable realm cultivator. What kind of powerful formation could he master? Moreover, the 10 of them could kill a third heaven venerable realm cultivator if they joined forces. Breaking a formation would be a piece of cake. Therefore, they didn't take the formation seriously at all. But soon, they fell silent, and their expressions turned ugly. They realized that they had underestimated the formation. After a series of attacks, not only did they not break the formation, but they also lost contact with each other. It could be said that the formation's power and strangeness were completely beyond their expectations. The 10 experts were trapped in the formation and couldn't get out for a while. Originally, they thought that this was just an ordinary array that could be opened with some strength. However, they found that they were wrong, very wrong. The formation was stronger than they had imagined, and it was also very strange. They struggled for so long but couldn't break it at all. In fact, this was very normal. Although these people were second heaven venerable realm cultivators and were powerful, the formation was set up by the Crimson Dragon. Rosalong, who had lived for thousands of years, was far more knowledgeable and experienced than these people. The formation he set up was quite terrifying. Lin Xian pulled out the Wind Shadow Sword and slowly entered the formation. With a flash of light, he arrived in front of an elder. This was an elder of the Lin family, a second heaven venerable realm cultivator. When he saw Lin Xian, he immediately shouted angrily, "You're that thief, come and die!" He held a huge long saber in his hand and slashed forward. The saber flashed like a violent dragon, and the terrifying saber light was connected to heaven and earth. Lin Xian used an earth-level movement technique and moved quickly in the air, easily dodging the attack. Then, he shouted coldly and slashed down with the Wind Shadow Sword. This sword was too terrifying, and it even split the void. A terrifying sea of blood appeared in the surroundings. An endless sword light gathered like a waterfall, turning into a sword light that quickly slashed toward the other party. In an instant, the Ling family's expert turned pale with fright. He felt the power of the sword light, and the aura was enough to threaten his life. "I can't take it head on." These words appeared in the mind of the Ling clan's expert. This was the result of his many years of experience and instincts. Stomping his foot, the Ling family's expert turned into a beam of light, shooting up like a bolt of lightning and dodging the attack. Boom! In the next moment, the sword ray fell, shattering the ground. A pitch-black hole appeared, so deep that the bottom could not be seen. Since the first sword had missed, the second sword had already pierced out. Like a shocking dragon, it quickly chased after the Ling clan expert. The terrifying sounds of battle immediately attracted the attention of the other experts. Many of them looked solemn as they scanned the surroundings. However, they were in the illusory matrix, and could not distinguish the real location. Ah! An extremely miserable cry rang out, echoing in the surroundings. "Third brother!" Among them, the Ling clan's experts roared angrily and quickly rushed out. They could tell that the scream came from their dead comrade. This meant that the other half of them had most likely been killed. However, no matter how they flew, they were unable to break through the illusion array. Not long after, another scream was heard. This time, it was from an elder of the Huang clan. The remaining 8 elders were shocked. They roared angrily and attacked with all their might. They knew that they could not hold back anymore. If they could not break through, there was only one outcome waiting for them: death. Under the effect of the will to live, the 8 of them raised their cultivation to the extreme. They kept attacking the surroundings, causing the originally powerful illusion array to fluctuate and crack. As expected of a second-rank venerable. It seems that this array will not last for long. The Crimson Dragon sighed. Too little time, and the materials are not complete. This is the best we can do. It's already not bad. It's already not easy to trap them for so long. Lin Xian was not disappointed. Killing 2 experts was enough for him. He still had time to play with these people. Let's go! With a flash, Lin Xian disappeared into the horizon with the Crimson Dragon. Not long after, the entire illusory formation cracked open. 8 shocking auras gushed out like heavenly pillars, suppressing the surroundings and crushing everything within 1,000 miles into ashes. The powerful auras shrouded the area. Some people even used their soul power to scan the area. However, they did not find the middle level of the other party. They only saw 2 corpses on the ground. They looked like dried corpses, without a single drop of blood. Damn thief! I will definitely catch you and grind your bones to dust! The 8 experts roared towards the sky. In the next few days, Lin Xian set up traps from time to time. He released his aura to lure the experts, causing earth-shattering battles to break out in the forest. Finally, on the 8th day, he killed everyone. However, what surprised him was that the blood mark in his body was not destroyed. This gave him a headache. However, compared to the gains, his blood sword inheritance had improved again after absorbing the blood essence of the 8 experts. It had reached the peak of the 2nd rank. He believed that it would not take long for him to break through to the 3rd rank. After resting in the forest for half a day, Lin Xian adjusted himself to his peak state. He then flew towards Windy City. Windy City was bustling with people. It was getting more and more lively. There were less than 10 days to the Wenxiang auction. Some powerful experts had rushed over, not wanting to miss the event. However, while everyone was excited and happy, the Huang and Ling clans were in a gloomy mood. The 2 families had joined forces and sent out 10 powerful 2nd-rank honorables to catch the culprit. However, after 10 days there was no news at all. This gave them a bad feeling. However, although they were worried, they did not believe that the culprit had died. The 10 2nd-rank honorables could kill a 3rd-rank honorable if they joined forces. It would not be a problem to deal with a 1st-rank thief. However, after waiting for a few more days, their hearts slowly sank. After such a long time, even if they could not catch the culprit should have returned. However, there was no news. This meant that the culprit was most likely dead. After guessing this, the Huang and Ling families fell silent. They wanted to send out more experts to kill the culprit. However, the auction was approaching and they could not send more people. They could only put this matter aside for now. However, in Windy City, they kept a close eye on the culprit. As long as the culprit appeared, they would kill him mercilessly. However, they did not expect Lin Xian to use the Great Dragon Sword Soul to trap the blood mark. He then used the Yi Tian technique to disguise himself and successfully entered Windy City. Chapter 810. Lin Xian saw Yu Fei when he returned to the small courtyard he rented. Brother Xian, we have news from Flying Tiger City and Qishan City. They are basically under control. Nengong Seng and Ma Rulong have also come to the Blood Realm. They are both in Flying Tiger City. Send them a message and ask them to gather at Windy City. Lin Xian felt that this auction would not be easy. There would definitely be a huge battle. After all, a half-earth rank weapon was too tempting. It was something that all experts wanted. Furthermore, it was not just a half-earth rank weapon. There was also the Phoenix Blood Crimson Gold. That was the material to make the real Red Lotus armor. A few days later, the highly anticipated Wenxiang auction finally began. Everyone was excited and decided to show off their skills at the auction. They had to get their hands on the treasures. In the VIP room of the Wenxiang auction, Hong Wuji, who was dressed in red, sat on a soft chair. He was surrounded by 6 beautiful women. At this moment, he was looking at the auction through the strange crystal glass in front of him. The Lone Star Sword will be mine! Hong Wuji's eyes shone brightly. At the same time, the other VIP rooms were filled with important figures and experts. In one of the VIP rooms, the experts of the Huang family gathered. Send someone to bring the blood mirror to the entrance of the auction and wait there. If that little thief dares to come to the auction, kill him immediately. Yes. A few elders retreated and quickly made arrangements. They were going to attack together with the Lung family. If the other party did not come to the auction, then forget it. If he dared to come, then he would not be able to leave. Lin Xian used the heaven-changing technique to change his appearance and aura again. This time, he became an ordinary martial artist. He blended into the crowd and headed for the Wenxiang auction. However, when he approached the entrance of the auction, he felt uneasy. It was as if something was about to happen. This was a subtle instinct of his body. After so many years of fighting, his sensitivity to danger had reached a terrifying level. Therefore, as soon as he felt excited, he immediately came to a stop and stared cautiously at the Wenxiang auction in front of him. There were guards there to maintain order and collect entry fees. The crowd entered quickly. Everything seemed normal. However, Lin Xian frowned slightly. This was because he noticed that there were martial artists dressed in the uniforms of the Huang clan and the Ling clan walking around near the entrance. Furthermore, a crimson mirror floated above the building of the Wenxiang auction house, emitting a faint crimson glow that encapsulated the entire entrance. Seeing the red light, Lin Xian frowned. The dark red mark in his body began to throb violently, flickering with light as if it was attracted to something. This is... Lin Xian's face turned ugly. That damned Huang family, they actually arranged for surveillance at the entrance. He didn't expect the other party to set up such tight surveillance at the entrance of the Wenxiang auction. If he walked over, he would definitely be exposed. Otherwise, judging from their auras, they were definitely second-level venerated realm experts. They were even stronger than the ones he had killed. However, since that was the case, it was impossible to stop him. Not to mention anything else, just the half-earth rank sword and the Phoenix Blood Crimson Gold were treasures that Lin Xian was determined to obtain. He had to attend the auction no matter what. Thinking of this, he strode forward. Buzz! The closer he got to the entrance, the brighter the crimson mark in his body became. He couldn't suppress it at all. In the end, a crimson glow was emitted from his body, soaring into the sky. What? He's here! At the entrance, the experts of the Huang clan and the Ling clan were shocked, before their faces turned wild with joy. They had finally found their target. Brat, die! A terrifying giant palm, like that of a demon, slammed down. Humph! Lin Xian harumphed coldly as he struck out with his hand, causing a shocking glow to appear. It was extremely sharp and collided with the palm, producing a clanging sound. The violent energy swept across the place, blowing many martial artists away. Whoosh! The two took a step back and stared at each other, their eyes filled with murderous intent. Stop! Fighting is not allowed in front of the Wenxiang auction house. At that instant, a loud voice could be heard, followed by a powerful force that warned the crowd. If you continue to fight, you will become the enemy of the Wanxiang auction house. You will be killed without mercy. The voice was cold and emotionless. Hearing this, the experts of the Huang clan and the Ling clan fell silent. They knew this rule. Don't worry, we won't fight here. A few of them said to the sky, then stared fiercely at Lin Xian. Brat, how dare you come out? I don't know if you're an idiot or a fool. Today will be the day of your death. A group of people, go forward and surround Lin Xian. Although they couldn't fight here, it didn't mean that they would let Lin Xian go. As long as they could get him somewhere else, they could attack. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up slightly. Not being able to fight here was not bad news for him. After all, this was the territory of the two clans. If a fight broke out, there might be some old monsters. Once he was somewhere else, he wouldn't have any worries. Thinking of this, he smiled and waved his sleeve, causing a mysterious jade platform to appear. Buzz! With a flash, Lin Xian disappeared from the spot. What? The Huang clan and the Ling clan were shocked. They didn't expect him to have such a treasure. It's a space teleportation, chase him! Such a space teleportation array can't be far. Today, we can't let this brat leave alive! Everyone rose into the air and searched quickly. Whoosh! 100 miles away, Lin Xian's figure appeared. He immediately used the heaven-changing technique to hide his aura. Then, he flew into the distance. Lin Xian's goal was simple. He wanted to leave Windy City and separate these people. Since the other party didn't know what was good for them and still wanted to kill him, then they shouldn't blame him for going on a killing spree. His figure flickered as he used his extreme speed to fly through the air like a ghost. In a forest far away from Windy City, Lin Xian landed and waited. He held the wind shadow sword in his hand and waited quietly. When he was flying, he deliberately left some traces so that those people could see it. Sure enough, not long after, there was a fluctuation of spiritual qi in the sky. It seemed that there was a huge aura flying toward him. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance with a smile. It's coming! In the sky, a black dot appeared. Then, it quickly grew bigger like a meteor, bringing with it rolling air waves. In the blink of an eye, the black shadow arrived nearby and landed on the ground. The person who came was a middle-aged man with a strong back and a strong waist. He was extraordinarily handsome, and there was a sense of oppression when he walked. His gaze was sharp like a sword. It was incomparably powerful, as if it could pierce through everything. Boom! He stopped 3 feet above the ground and floated in the air, looking down at Lin Xian. His gaze was like a knife, forming a materialized light that rushed downward. Die, brat! The middle-aged man's voice was cold and contained supreme power. It was like the sound of a heavenly bell shaking the surroundings. Chapter 8:11. The surrounding forest shook, and the earth trembled slightly. One could imagine how powerful this middle-aged man was. He looked down from above. You dare to show yourself after killing my clansmen? No one can save you today! I will use your blood as a sacrifice to my clansmen. I've heard these words countless times, but every single one of them has become a corpse. Lin Xian's expression was cold. You are no exception. You will be the next? Humph, ignorant! The middle-aged man snorted. I will let you know how strong the Lin clan's true experts are. The middle-aged man stepped out, and his body emitted a strong light. At the same time, he sealed off the surroundings to prevent Lin Xian from escaping. Let's see where you can run to today! Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish! Lin Xian shouted as he pulled out the wind shadow sword and stabbed forward. Boom! The sword flashed like a dragon's roar, shaking the heavens and the earth. The whole ground cracked, and a 1,000-meter-long crack appeared. 100 fists! The middle-aged man also attacked, and his bronze skin shone brightly as he punched forward with a violent aura. The two collided, and a thunderous sound rang out. With a bang, the middle-aged man was sent flying, and his face revealed a trace of shock. According to the information he received, Lin Xian could not be so powerful. Could it be that this brat was still hiding his strength? He was shocked. In fact, he did not know that not long ago, Lin Xian had successfully evolved the Blood Sword King's inheritance, and his strength had greatly increased. Compared to before, Lin Xian was much stronger. While the middle-aged man was shocked, Lin Xian was also shocked. Lin Xian had taken a blow from his sword and was not injured, which was rare. It seemed that Lin Xian was a body refining expert. At least, he was much stronger than the previous elders. Interesting. I hope you can hold on for a while longer, Lin Xian sneered. Humph, I guarantee that you won't be able to laugh soon. The middle-aged man roared, and the light on his body became even stronger. The entire ground was shaking as if there was an earthquake, and it was shaking rapidly. Rows of trees fell down, creating an area of tremors. The distant mountain peaks also swayed, some of them collapsing. A yellow aura gushed out and surrounded the middle-aged man. In the next moment, his appearance changed greatly. Countless hair grew out of his brown skin. It was brownish-yellow, like the fur of a demonic beast. Soon, this sort of situation spread throughout his entire body. His robust body grew 10 meters taller, becoming even taller. Roar! The middle-aged man was like a demonic monkey as he roared into the sky. His voice was filled with a strong killing intent. Demon beast! Lin Xian was shocked. He did not expect the other party to have such a change. Instead of replying, the middle-aged man roared furiously as he dashed forward like a bolt of lightning. The middle-aged man's body changed shape. Yellow hair grew out of his body. His entire being was like a demonic ape, sinister and terrifying. He roared angrily, turned into a beam of light, and quickly rushed over. Bang! In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Lin Xian. His huge fist, covered in thick demon hair, quickly punched out. Pung pung pung! Lin Xian swung his sword continuously. Sword chi was like a continuous spring rain, forming a patch and colliding with the middle-aged man's fist. The two collided, creating a series of deafening explosions. It was as if two metals had collided. Lin Xian was surprised. The middle-aged man's strength was much stronger than before. At least he would not be sent flying by him. Not only that, the middle-aged man's sturdy body was like a treasure. He could actually resist his sword chi. No wonder he dared to come alone. He was indeed capable. However, Lin Xian was not worried. He let out a low roar and used the great dragon sword soul, greatly increasing his combat strength. Sword chi surged and a blood-red light flashed, illuminating the entire sky. A violent and fierce aura filled the surroundings, making him look like a sword god. Whoosh! He stabbed out with his sword. Sword chi surged and turned into a blood-red waterfall, hanging upside down in the air. Summer sword, great waterfall! Sword chi surged, exploding with a powerful explosive force. It quickly enveloped the middle-aged man and sent him flying. Boom! The middle-aged man's body trembled and flew out like a meteor, crashing into a mountain peak. No wonder you could kill my clansmen. You are indeed extraordinary. The middle-aged man stood up from the ruins and shook off the rocks on his body. I have merged with the mountain monster ape's demon soul, but I can't break your sword chi. You are indeed powerful. The middle-aged man was very powerful. He was far stronger than the previous elders. Moreover, his martial soul was very special. After merging with the mountain monster ape's demon soul, it could be said to be incomparably powerful. This transformation had greatly increased his battle prowess. However, he was still no match for Lin Xian in terms of combat strength. One could imagine how powerful the great dragon sword soul was. Merge with the demon soul? No wonder you became like this. You are neither human nor demon. You might as well call yourself a transvestite. Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. You are courting death. I will let you know the power of my martial soul. The middle-aged man's voice was sonorous and full of confidence. He shouted in a low voice and his body expanded again. He was 10 meters tall with a green face and fangs. His entire person was no different from a demonic beast. When he took a step forward, the ground cracked. The aura on his body surged out in all directions like waves. Lin Xian frowned and slashed out with his sword. With the great dragon sword soul as the foundation, it evolved into a blood dragon that roared out. Boom! The blood dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws in the air. It emitted a terrifying and heavy aura that caused the entire sky to tremble. At this moment, the middle-aged man below also roared into the sky. He raised his hands high and tore the sky apart. Mountain transformation! The pair of hands turned into two mountains that were as heavy as 10,000 kilograms and blasted into the sky. These two mountain peaks were too terrifying, even heavier than real mountains. They stretched across the sky, dark and oppressive, even covering the heavenly sun. A large projection appeared on the ground. It was like demonic chi. It was incomparably cold, and carried a monstrous pressure. The middle-aged man sneered. He brought the two mountains and collided with the roaring blood dragon in the sky. Boom! 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 An earth-shattering sound could be heard as the entire void was torn apart. The two mountains bombarded and were struck by the blood dragon. Terrifying cracks appeared on one of the mountains. The entire top of one of the mountains cracked open and large amounts of gravel fell down. Those gravel splattered and landed on the ground. Each of them could pierce through the ground and create terrifying black holes. As for the blood dragon, it was also forced back by the mountains and became dim. Roar! Seeing the two mountains being shattered, the middle-aged man was furious. He roared and grabbed in all directions. Rumble! The ground cracked and countless mountains collapsed. They quickly condensed into a stone rod that was 100 meters long in the air. Boom! In the next moment, the middle-aged man held the huge stone pillar in his hand and waved it quickly. Boom! Boom! The power was too heavy. It directly crushed the void and covered the sky like dark clouds. Clang! The staff landed directly on the blood dragon's body, blasting it into two halves. Kid, give me your life! With the rod in his hand, the middle-aged man was extremely powerful. He was like a demonic king as he smashed towards Lin Xian. Chapter 8:12. Humph, crooked! See how I'll break you! Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then, his long sword surged and sword chi gathered in the sky. Countless flames danced and spread in the sky, forming a vermilion bird. Lin Xian used the dragon's sword soul to simulate the vermilion bird's seal. Terrifying flames filled the sky and burned everything. The dragon's sword soul was too powerful. This sword was even more powerful than the vermilion bird's seal. It burned everything within 1,000 miles into ashes. Boom! The terrifying vermilion bird circled in the sky and collided with the huge stone pillar. Suddenly, a fiery red light burst out in the sky. It carried a blazing aura and surged in all directions. Like a volcano erupting, smoke filled the air. Heat waves filled the sky as if a volcano had collapsed. Crack! Boom! The huge stone pillar collapsed and melted. The flames quickly flew towards the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man let out a loud roar. Like a real demonic beast, he leaped out from the flames in the sky. With a leap, he charged towards Lin Xian. His eyes shone with a dark green light. At this moment, the light had solidified and was like two long spears. Fusing with demonic souls is still a small path. A martial artist is strong in his heart and faith. Let me show you what it means to be a martial artist! Lin Xian roared. The long sword in his hand emitted a dazzling light. It was like a fiery red sun hanging in the sky. Sword of raging flames! With this sword, the concept of fire surged out and lit up the entire sky. It was like a real sun descending rapidly. Boom! In an instant, the sun-like sword light shrouded the middle-aged man. Flames and sword chi exploded in an incomparably violent manner. Ah! The middle-aged man let out a shocking scream. All the hair on his body was burning. His body began to crack like porcelain and began to shatter. No! I won't lose! He roared to the sky. He was unwilling to admit defeat. With the flames and broken body, he charged towards Lin Xian. Star explosion! Lin Xian's eyes were filled with disdain. He stabbed out with his long sword. A ray of sword chi flew out like a meteor and instantly hit the middle-aged man's huge body. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out as the sword chi exploded, producing an intense energy shock wave that directly shattered the middle-aged man's body into pieces. The smoke dissipated, and the ground was a mess. The ground was covered with broken corpses and remains, and it was scarlet red. A powerful second-rank venerable had died just like that. Using his finger as a sword, Lin Xian carved the word, Lin, on the ground. Then, he left without looking back. This was not the first, nor would it be the last. Lin Xian released his soul power and covered the surroundings, sensing the presence of enemies. Since the other party had come to kill him, he would return the favor. Killing to stop killing, this was his method. Lin Xian killed the powerful middle-aged warrior and then turned to leave. Not long after, he met the second venerable one. That person was also a young middle-aged man. He was an expert from the Huang family. Without any hesitation, the two of them directly attacked, causing the sky and earth to dim. In the end, Lin Xian killed him. Once again, Lin Xian carved the word, Lin, on the ground. He took the other party's storage ring and left quickly. He used his Earth-class movement technique, and his speed was very fast. He traveled through the forest like lightning. The Wanxiang auction had already begun, and he did not want to waste any time. Finally, he met the third expert. It was an old man with a powerful aura, like an erupting volcano. His combat strength was very shocking. This old man was even more powerful than the previous two experts, and he had rich combat experience. However, in the end, he was still killed by Lin Xian. Blood stained the sky as the entire corpse was cut in half by the long sword. If the Huang and Ling families knew that they had lost so many experts, they would definitely regret it. Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the sky, as if 3 meteors were falling from the sky. Terrifying spiritual energy surged over like waves, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas. In the next moment, 3 figures appeared and descended from the sky. They surrounded Lin Xian in a triangular formation. Looking at the traces of battle around them and the corpse that was cut in half on the ground, the 3 experts' faces turned cold and murderous. Without further ado, the 3 of them attacked at the same time, determined to kill Lin Xian. The 3 of them were very powerful. 2 of them were experts from the Ling family, and 1 was an elder from the Huang family. The 3 of them worked together, and their combat strength was shocking. They sealed off all directions. In the void, a blue light shone. A huge spear head transformed into a dragon and charged toward him. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, and its momentum was terrifying. Lin Xian used the illusory demonic steps, leaving behind an illusion in the air as he quickly dodged the stunning attack. However, in the next moment, his heart raced as a strong sense of danger filled his heart. Using his movement technique, Lin Xian roared and moved quickly. At the same time, he used the red lotus armor to protect his body. Buzz! Streaks of red patterns appeared around him. They intertwined to form an illusory battle armor that enveloped him. At the same time, the sound of the air being torn apart came from behind him. A powerful force, like that of an ancient ferocious beast, quickly bombarded the red lotus armor. The two collided with a deafening sound. The terrifying force sent the red lotus armor and Lin Xian flying. Boom! 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 Lin Xian only came to a stop after smashing through dozens of mountains. Walking out of the rubble, Lin Xian was shocked. If he had not reacted quickly and summoned the shadow of the red lotus battle armor, he would have been severely injured. The attack just now was too terrifying. Other than the red lotus armor, nothing could have withstood it. His eyes flickered as he looked up. A tall figure appeared where he had been standing. The muscles all over his body bulged like dragons. In that person's hand was a huge bronze hammer. It was that hammer that sent him flying. Two other figures stood on both sides of the burly man. One of them held a purple spear and was surrounded by a purple aura. The other person was standing on a light sword, and his entire body was filled with terrifying sword chi. The three of them looked like middle-aged men. Their auras were powerful, and they were filled with killing intent. "You're quite capable to be able to withstand my hammer without being injured," the middle-aged man with the green hammer said coldly. "However, even if you escape this attack, you won't be able to escape death. Any last words? Hurry up and leave them." The three of them were cold, and their expressions were filled with confidence and power. Lin Xian drew the wind shadow sword and held it in his hand. A terrifying aura also surged from his body. "They deserve to die, and so do all of you. Humph, you're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. I'll take your life today." In the next moment, the middle-aged man in the middle attacked. The green hammer in his hand quickly smashed out. The giant cyan hammer moved horizontally, growing larger in the air as it rushed over like a giant cyan mountain. He wanted to kill Lin Xian immediately, so he used all his strength in this attack. The void churned, and the air cracked. Countless cracks spread in all directions. It could not be helped. The bronze hammer was too terrifying. Just its aura alone was enough to make the earth and sky unable to withstand it. The terrifying pressure was like the awakening of an ancient beast. It was terrifying and powerful, making one's heart tremble. It was a shocking scene. The green hammer had not landed, but its aura had already created a shocking aura. Chapter 813. Lin Xian held the hidden wind sword in his hand. Sword chi gushed out from his body like a heavenly pillar that connected heaven and earth. The surrounding mountains and earth turned into powder. Only the place where he was standing was unaffected. When the violent force entered the area he was in, it was quickly destroyed by the sword chi. The void was torn apart, and the air waves were pushed back. The green hammer quickly swept through the air, trying to smash Lin Xian into meat paste. Lin Xian only made his move when the green hammer was close to the ground. He stabbed out with his sword and slashed upwards. The sword chi flickered and shone brightly. The wind shadow sword quickly expanded into a 300-meter-long sword chi. It was like a green dragon that roared out and slammed into the green hammer. The great dragon sword soul surged and merged with the sword chi with a terrifying attack power. The sword was extremely sharp. The void trembled, and the green hammer swayed, leaving a clear sword mark on the ground. Sky-splitting blood sword. Lin Xian roared angrily and swung his sword again. Suddenly, the sword light surged, and the blood-red sword chi surged out like a sea of blood. In an instant, the green hammer was sent flying. It flew backward like a meteorite, leaving behind a series of afterimages in the air. "Die!" The middle-aged man was furious. He held the bronze hammer and swung it down mercilessly. Every strike created a bottomless black hole in the ground. The green hammer's shadow was vast and mighty, filling the entire sky. Its power could easily crush a second-rank supremacy. In an instant, the ground completely sank and cracked into countless pieces. Lin Xian was still standing on the ground and did not move. The ground around him was also intact. He held the wind shadow sword and slashed out several sword chi. Each sword chi was 300 meters long and surged like a blood-red rainbow. Although the bronze hammer was terrifying and powerful, it was completely useless against the blood-red sword chi. After a short stalemate, it was mercilessly cut open. In the sky, the sword chi was vast and mighty like a heavenly pillar that swept across all directions. Lin Xian attacked with all his might, causing the entire sky to boil. Countless bursts of sword chi surged out from his hands, and they were several times more ferocious than before. Lin Xian slashed out several hundred times in a row. Every sword chi was as thick as a mountain and as fierce as a heavenly sword. It was extremely sharp. Tens of thousands of sword chis crisscrossed, the sword sky shattered. The entire sky was like a shattered mirror. It was incomparably terrifying. Everything within 1,000 miles was filled with blood-red sword chi. A monstrous aura of slaughter engulfed everything. Bang! The bronze hammer was pushed back again and again, unable to withstand the force. The middle-aged man was even more shocked, and his pupils constricted. He did not expect his opponent to be so powerful. Every single one of those terrifying sword chis made him fearful. What a powerful spiritual energy! How old is he? How can he be so strong? The middle-aged man's pupils shrank. Even he wasn't able to launch so many attacks at once, but this young man was able to do so with ease. The disparity between them was obvious. This kind of person is definitely a great enemy of the family. We can't let him live. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He took out a purple elixir from his storage ring, and it quickly appeared. In the next moment, purple lines appeared on his body and spread rapidly like demonic runes. Bang! 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 A deep sound rang out in the sky. The middle-aged man's muscles became even more powerful. His entire body expanded as if he had turned into a giant. He roared angrily. The green hammer in his hand trembled and quickly turned into a weapon that was 100 feet long. It filled the sky. Die, you little thief! As the hammer fell, the sky lost its color, and the earth was pierced through. A huge shadow shrouded Lin Xian. The mountains and forests within 100 miles were all destroyed. Clang! The huge bronze demonic hammer slammed into the ground, shattering it into pieces. Lin Xian was crushed under the hammer. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Ha ha! The middle-aged giant laughed out loud. His voice was like thunder, resounding in all directions. What genius martial artist! Young expert? That's all you got? You're still killed by my hammer! He was extremely proud, and his face was filled with arrogance. Beside him, the martial artist on the light sword also laughed. Fourth Brother Sky Shaking Hammer is indeed powerful. It's worthy of being a top-notch treasure that can crush everything. Not to mention that kid, even an ordinary third-level honorable realm martial artist wouldn't dare to fight against it. The middle-aged giant laughed. Indeed, no one can survive under my sky-shaking hammer. On the other side, the Huang family elder who was holding the spear also heaved a sigh of relief. We've finally killed that little devil. Now we can return to report on our mission. Before he could finish his sentence, the ground below suddenly trembled. Even the mountain-like heaven-shaking hammer trembled as if it was being lifted up by something. Oh no! That little thief isn't dead! The Huang family elder's expression changed. What? He didn't die! The middle-aged giant was also stunned. His expression was extremely ugly. He had just bragged that no one could survive under his sky-shaking hammer. Now, that kid was still alive. This caused his expression to darken. Be careful. That kid is very strange. Don't let him escape. The two martial artists beside him looked solemn. The aura on their bodies became terrifying. Don't worry, the middle-aged giant said. My sky-shaking hammer is no ordinary item. That attack definitely took away half of his life. Wait for me to attack again. I'll kill him completely. Clang! Another earth-shattering sound was heard. The entire sky-shaking hammer trembled rapidly and made a buzzing sound. Damn kid, I want you dead. The middle-aged giant was enraged. All the muscles on his body bulged and a vast amount of energy was released. Bang! 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 Countless rays of sword chi suddenly surged out from the ground. They were like pillars that rose from the ground. Instantly, the ground within 100-mile radius emitted light and shone in all directions. Boom! 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 Tens of thousands of rays of sword chi rushed out and turned into a rain of sword chi. With a bang, the sky-shaking hammer was sent flying. On top of the hammer, there were 8 rays of sword chi that flowed rapidly along the surface of the hammer. Explode! In an instant, the sword chi reached the middle-aged giant's hand and quickly exploded, forming a terrifying impact. Ah! Damn it! The middle-aged giant did not have time to react. His entire hand exploded, revealing deep white bones. I'm going to kill you! He roared into the sky and threw out a punch. His fist shone brightly and was not inferior to the sky-shaking hammer at all. Meteor beyond the heavens. Below, a ray of light flashed and instantly pierced through the middle-aged giant's heart. Whoosh! Lin Xian's figure appeared in the sky and he looked extremely fierce. Below, there was an additional bloody hole where the heart of the middle-aged giant was. His enormous body also fell heavily to the ground. Bang! The ground cracked and blood gathered to form a river. This scene was too shocking. The two nearby martial artists were stunned. Just a moment ago, the arrogant middle-aged giant had died just like that. The two of them felt that it was unreal. Buzz! In the void, the sword chi fell again and slashed at the two of them. The two of them were shocked. They recovered from the shock and quickly dodged. Their eyes shone brightly and they were like ghosts as they rampaged through the void. Lin Xian sneered. He stretched out his hand and condensed spiritual energy to form a huge golden hand. He grabbed the sky-shaking hammer and smashed it down. Chapter 8:14. Boom! In an instant, the void exploded. The terrifying force was like a demonic mountain, crashing into the martial artist holding the purple spear. Oh no! The martial artist was shocked and hurriedly dodged. The sky-shaking hammer was a top-tier spirit-grade treasure, and it was extremely powerful. It was said to be able to shake the heavens, so one could imagine how terrifying it was. Now that it was in Lin Xian's hands, it was extremely powerful. Whoosh! Although it did not hit the martial artist, the strong wind caused him to tremble. Since you're here, don't even think about going back! Lin Xian looked up to the sky and roared. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he held the sky-shaking hammer and killed in all directions. Phantom sword dance! On the other side, sword chi flashed, and countless light swords surged out, filling heaven and earth. The sword chi swept out, splitting the ground and cutting off countless heads, turning them into powder. Bang! Lin Xian held the sky-shaking hammer and swept it out, drawing a half-moon light in the air and instantly shattering all the light sword phantoms. Then, he slashed out with his right hand again. Lightning surged, and countless lightning bolts fell from the sky. They merged with the sword chi and formed the thunder-killing sword, which was extremely terrifying. He used the thunder concept in this sword, which was powerful and violent. It was like a heavenly tribulation as it slashed toward the martial artist. The martial artist standing on the light sword condensed a 100-foot-long light sword in his hand and swept it in all directions, resisting the lightning. On the other side, the spear flashed and charged toward Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He raised the great dragon's sword soul to the extreme, and his combat strength soared. He slashed out with his sword and cut the spear in half. Then, he used the wind concept, and countless gusts of wind turned into wild blades that slashed toward the martial artist. Lin Xian fought against two martial artists at the same time, and he was extremely violent. The great dragon sword soul was too powerful. His combat strength was heaven-defying, and every sword attack made the martial artist vomit blood. Impossible! This is impossible! The two martial artists screamed and trembled. They could not believe that the young demon king in front of them was so powerful. The two martial artists were shocked and could not believe that the two of them could not take him down. Moreover, what shocked them even more was that the martial artist's attack power was too powerful, far surpassing that of a second-level honorable realm martial artist. Azura Evil Light! Peerless Light Blade! The two middle-aged experts roared angrily. They exploded with powerful strength and displayed powerful martial skills, preparing to attack with all their might. Humph, let's end this! Lin Xian also let out a long howl. He held the wind shadow sword in his hand and slashed in the air. Gale lightning sword, mountain river cleaving one sword. A gigantic sword appeared in the sky, emitting an ancient aura. In the next moment, Lin Xian leaped into the air and swung out his golden palm, grabbing the firmament great sword in his hand. Chop! Boom! The giant sword fell, as if it was going to cut the world apart. The terrifying sword she shattered the opponent's martial arts technique, and quickly enveloped the two of them. Ah! This is impossible! The two of them were alarmed. Their strongest attack had actually been broken just like that. The two of them couldn't believe it. This is an Earth-rank martial art! One of them screamed. Earth-rank martial art! He actually has an Earth-rank martial art! Boom! The giant sword fell, cleaving through mountains and rivers and splitting the earth. When the sword chi disappeared, the two martial artists had already disappeared. Not even their corpses were left behind. The power of an Earth-rank martial art was terrifying. Now that Lin Xian's cultivation had become stronger, his Earth-rank martial art had also become more terrifying. Not to mention the two of them, even an ordinary third-rank honorable martial artist would find it difficult to withstand. This was the importance of a martial arts grade. Once it was related to the word Earth-rank, it would be superior to everyone else. This was the case for Earth-rank martial arts, and even more so for Earth-rank artifacts. However, a true Earth-rank artifact had not appeared for many years. This was also the reason why a half-Earth-rank artifact was so precious. It was an extremely powerful existence. If he had a half-Earth-rank artifact, Lin Xian would have been able to end the battle with one sword. After carving the word Lin on the ground, Lin Xian disappeared on the spot. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a deafening sound came from the depths of the forest. A gigantic green hammer fell from the sky and pierced through the earth. Lin Xian sprinted all the way back to Windy City. He had already killed many people, and it was time to go back. At this moment, the Wanxiang auction had already begun in Windy City. As expected of a top-notch auction, every item made people go crazy. In a VIP room, Hong Wuji sat with an evil smile on his face. He looked down at the auction with narrowed eyes. This time, he was only here for one item. That was the half-Earth rank artifact, the Lone Star Sword. He was not interested in anything else for the time being. In another VIP room, the upper echelons of the Huang family were gathered. One of them had a gloomy expression. It was the Huang family's great elder. "What's wrong? Are those people not back yet?" He frowned and asked. "Not yet, but there shouldn't be any problem," the person beside him said. Let's ignore them for now. This time, we must get the Crimson Phoenix blood gold." The great elder's eyes flickered with incomparable sharpness. Outside Windy City, Lin Xian's path was blocked. Without saying a word, the two of them started fighting. In order to save time, Lin Xian directly activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul and slashed out 9 shocking sword chi, killing his opponent. Until he reached the city gate, he met another person. "Humph, I knew you would come back," the person sneered. "It's your bad luck to meet me. Die." He launched an attack with a terrifying martial skill. However, a streak of sword light split his attack into 2 halves. Bang! The powerful spiritual energy attack sent him flying. "What? This is impossible! You are the 9th one!" Lin Xian's expression was cold and indifferent. His body's killing intent soared to the sky. You killed them!" Feeling the shocking killing intent from Lin Xian, the person's expression changed. It was too terrifying. Just the killing intent alone made his heart tremble. There was no way to fight. There was no way to fight. "No, I have to go back and inform the Great Elder." The person did not dare to fight, and quickly fled back into the city. "You want to leave? Humph! Trash!" Lin Xian sneered and moved quickly into the city. "Great Elder, this is bad!" The person was like lightning, running through the void and rushing toward the Wanxiang auction. Boom! Behind him, Lin Xian wielded the sky-shaking hammer and struck out. The terrifying green hammer was like a mountain, covering the sky and casting a large shadow over the person. "What is that?" At this moment, everyone in the city raised their heads and saw the scene in the sky. They were so frightened that their scalps went numb. In the sky, a terrifying force surged and pressed down in all directions, causing everyone's faces to turn pale. Boom! Puff! The giant hammer fell and smashed the person into a bloody mist. The person was already above the Wanxiang auction. He was only one step away from escaping, but he was still smashed into pieces. Who is that? It's so terrifying! The sky-shaking hammer! It's the sky-shaking hammer! Someone exclaimed. Isn't that the weapon of the Ling family's expert? Why would it attack the Huang family? Everyone was stunned. The Ling family and the Huang family were connected by marriage, so they were very close. But now, such a thing had happened. It was shocking. Is there a conflict between the two families? No, it's not the Ling family's expert. Then who is it? Someone looked at the sky and exclaimed. Chapter 8:15. In the Windy City, the martial artists below looked up at the sky in horror. It was too terrifying. A powerful and mysterious martial artist wielding the Ling family's treasure smashed the Huang family's elder into meat paste. This scene shocked everyone. If he's not the Ling family's expert, then who is he? The crowd raised their heads in shock. What happened? Why is the Ling family's treasure in someone else's hands? That person, could it be the scholar genius? Someone recognized Lin Xian and exclaimed. I heard that he killed the Ling and Huang family's genius martial artists and is wanted by the two families. I didn't expect him to appear now. Yeah, not only did he appear, but he's also so powerful. He killed the Huang family's elder in one move. This is a blatant provocation. I'm afraid the Huang and Ling families won't let this go. The crowd discussed excitedly. Lin Xian kept the sky-shaking hammer and descended to the ground. He then walked towards the Wanxiang auction. I'm sorry, the auction has already started. No one is allowed to enter during this period. A martial artist walked out and blocked Lin Xian's path. Lin Xian didn't speak, but his eyes darkened slightly. The surrounding martial artists started to discuss again. No wonder he appeared in such a hurry. He's here to participate in the auction. What a pity. Once the auction starts, you can't enter anymore. This is the rule. Yeah, I'm afraid he'll return empty-handed. At this time, the remaining Huang and Ling family disciples couldn't withstand Lin Xian's aura. They were so scared that they almost peed their pants. They all fled into the distance. Lin Xian's eyes were cold as he looked around. At this time, the void fluctuated. Countless rays of light shot up and pierced through the escaping martial artists. What? Someone else attacked! The crowd was shocked again. They didn't expect that other than Lin Xian, there would be someone else who dared to attack the Huang family. Boom! A tall young man landed, causing the ground to tremble. The crowd looked over and saw that the young man had a strong back and a bare waist. He was abnormally tall, like an iron tower. Hee, young Master Xian! Dong Fang! Lin Xian was stunned, then smiled. It seemed that the people from the Dragon Sword Pavilion were here. Seeing the two of them talking, the crowd exclaimed in surprise. The two of them actually knew each other. No wonder they dared to make a move against the Huang clan. At this moment, Yu Fei and Wang Li also flew over. Older brother Xian! Yes. Lin Xian nodded and asked. Where are the others? They're all in the courtyard. However, due to time constraints, only a few came. The rest are still on their way. The distance between the Flying Tiger City and the Wind-Seeking City was not close. This time, only a few powerful cultivators had arrived. Most of the people were still on their way. Older brother Xian, isn't it an auction? Why don't you go in? Wang Li asked. Hey, we want to go in. No, the auction has rules. No one is allowed to enter in the middle. The auctioneer's attitude was firm. At this moment, another fluctuation came from afar. Boom! 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 The void trembled as if 10,000 horses were galloping. A low and deep voice spread in all directions. Several black dots appeared in the sky. At first they were very small, but in the blink of an eye, they arrived nearby. Roar! 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 A terrifying roar sounded, causing everyone's face to turn pale. Many people looked at the sky in horror, and Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. In the sky, there were 3 figures. They were 3 strange beasts, and their bodies were shining with light. In the middle was a fierce white tiger with light yellow tiger stripes. Its eyes were bright, and it emitted a terrifying aura. On its back sat a beautiful woman. Her eyes were filled with disdain and arrogance. On both sides was a demon wolf, and on the other side was a white jade demon elephant. Its body was as big as a mountain, and it could crush the air with a casual step. On each of the 2 demon beasts sat 2 young men. Their expressions were cold, and their auras were powerful. Demon General, 1-star Demon General! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. These 3 powerful demon generals were actually mounts. This was too inconceivable. One had to know that a demon general was equivalent to a human honorable. They were the overlords of a region. Their dignity was inviolable. Now they were willing to be mounts, and there were 3 of them. Who were these 3 people? How could they have such a powerful background? Seems like we are late? The young man on the left chuckled. Don't worry. It's not too late to go in now. The young man on the right said coldly. Boom! 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 The 3 demon generals landed on the ground, and their terrifying auras formed countless gusts of wind that swept in all directions. When the 3 of them landed, the ground shook. The 3 of them did not come down. Instead, they rode the 3 demon generals and slowly walked towards the Wanxiang auction. Are they going to enter the auction too? The crowd was shocked, and Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The 3 of you. The Wanxiang auction's martial artist's eyes flickered, and he hesitated. To be able to have 3 demon generals as mounts, they must be of extraordinary status. He could not afford to offend such people. Humph! The young man on the right snorted and took out a token. Hiss! The martial artist's pupils shrank, and he said, The 3 of you, please come in. At least you know what's good for you. The young man on the left nodded. Then the 3 of them waved their sleeves and kept the demon general. Ta ta ta! The 3 of them walked into the auction as if they were taking a stroll. They went in. The crowd was shocked. They did not expect the Wanxiang auction to allow the 3 of them to enter. Lin Xian's face darkened, and Wang Li and the rest did not look good either. They had wanted to enter, but the martial artist had stopped them and told them that the auction's rules forbade them from entering halfway. But now, there were 3 people who had arrived later than them, but they had swaggered in. This was obviously discrimination. Damn, what do you mean? Why can't we go in? And they can? Yu Fei was furious. Yes, are you looking down on us? Wang Li said coldly. You have to give us an explanation for this. Dongfang Xiong also stopped smiling. Explanation? The Wanxiang auction's martial artist sneered. What explanation do you want? Who are you, and who are they? Let me tell you, they are the disciples of the Yan family. They are very honorable. The Yan family? Is that a big deal? So you are a country bumpkin who knows nothing. The martial artist sneered. Let me tell you, the Yan family is Prince Ling Feng's subordinate force. Don't you think they are powerful? Prince Ling Feng! The crowd gasped. He was one of the 4 great princes of Tianwu, and his status was extraordinary. They had not expected the 3 of them to have such a background. When Yu Fei and the rest heard this, their faces darkened. They were in the blood realm, so they naturally knew Prince Ling Feng's name. He was the grandson of the deputy palace master of the Palace of Ares, and the son of the martial honorable, who was ranked 3rd on the Blood Supreme leaderboard. His status was absolutely horrifying. To be able to become his subordinate force, it was definitely a powerful force. When the martial artist saw the shocked faces of Yu Fei and the rest, he sneered. I advise you to get lost. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. With your status, don't even think about entering in this lifetime. What if I don't? Lin Xian suddenly said with a cold smile. Chapter 8:16. What if I don't? Lin Xian suddenly opened his mouth and sneered. He was furious. If the auction really had such a rule, he would not say anything. However, if they treated him differently because of his status, it would be a different story. He would let these people know that he was not someone they could offend. Brat, I advise you not to cause any trouble at the Wanxiang auction. The cultivator sneered. Although you were able to kill the Huang family's elder in one move, you are nothing in the eyes of the Wanxiang auction. It's easy to kill you. How dare you? Wang Li shouted angrily. How dare you threaten young Master Xian? Ask me first. Dong Fangxiong took a step forward and emitted a powerful aura. What? You want to fight? The cultivator from the auction was disdainful. He snapped his fingers and 5 second-layer honorable realm cultivators appeared behind him. They stared at Lin Xian and the others with unfriendly expressions. Kid, you don't have the right to fight in front of me. Seeing this, the surrounding people were in an uproar. Oh my god, is that kid really going to fight? No one with a brain would do that. The Wanxiang auction is not something the Huang family can compare to. Not only are they powerful, but the forces behind them are even more terrifying. Yeah, I heard that they are also related to Prince Ling Feng. A group of people discussed, and none of them thought highly of Lin Xian. Kid, did you hear that? Get out of here if you know what's good for you. The cultivator from the auction sneered. With your status, you won't be able to enter. Status? Lin Xian laughed. What kind of status do you want? What status? Don't waste your energy. Even the head of the Huang family would not dare to be impudent in the Wanxiang auction. The cultivator from the auction was extremely domineering. Lin Xian ignored him and turned around. Go and call those people over. Yes. Wang Li quickly left. Call people? All right, I'll wait for you. The cultivator from the auction sneered. If you can make me take a step back today, I'll let you in. Lin Xian ignored him and stood with his hands behind his back. Yu Fei sneered. Take a step back? You'll be scared to death. He really wanted to see how these people would react when they saw the members of the Dragon Sword Pavilion. The auction house's martial artist crossed his arms in front of his chest, a look of disdain on his face. Today, he wanted to see just what kind of people the other party could summon. Putting everything else aside, there was no one in Fengwen City that the Wanxiang auction house was afraid of. The surrounding warriors were also discussing. This guy, who is he? Who else could it be? Even a third-layer martial highness would not dare to offend the Wanxiang auction. But looking at him, he seems to be very calm. It's like he has a card up his sleeve. Who knows? Maybe he's pretending. Everyone was discussing what Lin Xian was trying to do. At this moment, ripples appeared in the sky once again. It was like boiling water, violently boiling. What is that? Someone raised his head and exclaimed. Countless black figures appeared on the horizon. They were different from the 3 people from before. They were not black dots, but dark clouds. They were like dark clouds, fast and beautiful. Boom! Boom! The sky trembled, accompanied by a vast and terrifying aura. The aura was too terrifying. It was like an ancient demon mountain, pressing down on everyone, making it hard for them to breathe. Everyone below was pale. Their auras were tumbling and their bodies were trembling. Many of the weaker ones directly fell to the ground. Even the second-layer martial highnesses of the Wanxiang auction house were no exception. They circulated their spiritual energy and resisted with all their might. Boom! Boom! In the sky, the dark clouds floated and finally stopped above the Wanxiang auction house. This time, everyone saw it clearly. People, they're people. Not only were they people, but they were also experts. They were all experts. Second-layer martial highnesses. Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. Many of the figures in the sky were second-layer martial highnesses. There were even first-layer martial highnesses. When these people were added together, they could defy the heavens. Someone counted and found that there were a total of 50 people, all of them young martial artists. What kind of power is this? They actually have so many young experts. Everyone was stunned. This power was too strong. At least in Wind-Seeking City, no one could find so many young experts. The martial artist of the Wanxiang auction house was also shocked. He did not expect the other party to find so many experts. Damn it, who is this kid? How does he know so many young experts? Whoosh! In the sky, the 50 young experts descended and filled the street. Brother Xian! The 50 people moved in unison and shouted respectfully at the figure in front of them. Lin Xian nodded and then turned to look in front of him. To be exact, he was looking at the people of the Wanxiang auction house. Now, am I qualified? Boom! Everyone was shocked. Brother Xian? These young experts are calling him Brother Xian? This is too shocking. Are these people the underlings of the scholar? Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. He had already restored his true appearance. He was like a king looking down at the people in front of him. No, impossible. The martial artist of the auction house was in disbelief and he started to tremble. Not long ago, he had mocked the other party and said that he did not have the right to enter. Now, the other party was the leader of this group of young geniuses. This change happened too quickly. The people of the Wanxiang auction house could not accept it. Whoa! Hearing Lin Xian's voice, the 50 people raised their heads and looked in front of them. Everyone's faces were filled with anger. Their gazes were like swords converging together. These gazes converged into a torrent that surged forward and sent the people of the Wanxiang auction house flying. They were too powerful. The combined force of the 50 honorables was extremely terrifying. The martial artists of the auction house could not resist and were sent flying like kites. Puff! This was especially true for the cultivator who had mocked Lin Xian earlier. He vomited large mouthfuls of blood. In that instant, he had suffered an extremely serious internal injury. Lin Xian walked forward slowly and asked calmly, "Am I qualified?" His voice was not loud, but it was filled with determination. "If you want to be qualified, fine, I will give you the qualifications." However, Lin Xian did not care if you can accept the qualifications. Puff! The martial artist of the auction house vomited blood again. His body fell to the ground and he fainted. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the others. Who can make the decision? Feeling the gaze, the martial artists trembled and smiled bitterly. Although they were second-rank honorables, they could not make the decision. At that moment, a few figures flew out from the Wanxiang auction house. Who dares to cause trouble at the Wanxiang auction house? A loud voice was heard. It was filled with endless pressure. The voice was domineering. It turned into an energy palm and slammed down. In his opinion, no matter who it was, he should suppress them first if they dared to cause trouble at the Wanxiang auction house. However, this time, he had made a huge mistake. The people below were not people he could provoke. Boom! In the next instant, the 50 honorables below exploded. Their auras surged upwards like demons. Chapter 8:17. An old man came out from the inner section of the Wanxiang auction. He immediately attacked with his palm in an attempt to suppress the intruders. In his opinion, whoever dared to cause trouble at the Wanxiang auction should be suppressed first. However, he was wrong this time. The 50 martial highnesses below were infuriated, unleashing terrifying auras that surged upward like a deity. Bang! Without any hesitation, the palm formed by the sound wave was shattered into pieces, while the old man was sent flying like a kite, vomiting blood. Elder! Many cultivators exclaimed and sprang into the sky, but they were stunned when they saw the scene below. It was a terrifying scene. 50 martial highnesses gathered together, as if an ancient deity had been reborn, extremely powerful. In front of them stood a young man wearing a blue shirt, standing there like an emperor. Who's in charge? Come out! Lin Xian's voice could be heard, spreading to the surroundings. Powerful, too powerful! The crowd was shocked, unable to believe it. In the Wind-Seeking City, the Wanxiang auction was considered a dominating presence, and no one dared to challenge it. But now, a young man was suppressing the Wanxiang auction, too shocking. Soon, the people of the Wanxiang auction understood what had happened, and their faces turned dark, as if they could not wait to beat the guards to death. "A bunch of trash, are you blind? How dare you provoke someone like him?" Soon, an old woman with a walking stick walked out and asked in a deep voice. "I'm the manager, why are you here?" "To participate in the auction," Lin Xian said in a firm voice. "Sure. Give me a moment," the old woman said. "I'll report it now." "No need, I'll go straight in." Lin Xian shook his head and said in a cold tone. After such a long delay, more than half of the auction had been completed, and he was unsure if the Crimson Phoenix blood gold had been sold. Therefore, he had to enter the auction. The old woman was in a difficult position, but she let out a sigh after receiving Lin Xian's firm gaze. "All right, but only 3 of you can enter." "Sure." Lin Xian turned around. "Dongfang and Yufei, follow me, the rest of you wait here." "Yes," the group of people replied. Inside the Wanxiang auction, there was a heated atmosphere. The appearance of the Phoenix blood crimson gold caused the entire venue to reach a new height. After many parties fought over it, it was finally won by the Huang family. "Ha ha! The Phoenix blood crimson gold is finally in my hands!" Inside the VIP room, the Huang family's grand elder was overjoyed. "With this, we might be able to refine a supreme-grade artifact." "A supreme-grade artifact!" Hearing that, the other elders of the Huang family also felt their hearts burning with excitement. Top-grade treasures were even better than top-grade treasures. They were the best of all spirit-grade treasures. That power, that value, it was second only to a half-earth rank treasure. It was also a rare treasure. This time, the Huang family elder wanted to refine a set of inner armor, so he desperately wanted to obtain the Phoenix blood crimson gold. "All right, the auction for the Phoenix blood crimson gold is over. That kind of top-grade refining material is extremely rare. I'm afraid a single piece won't be enough to satisfy everyone's needs. Moreover, we only have 1 piece in our auction. However, there is another treasure right now. Its value is even above the Phoenix blood crimson gold. I believe everyone will be interested." "Even above the Phoenix blood crimson gold?" Hearing this, the eyes of the martial artists in the auction house lit up. The Phoenix blood crimson gold was a supreme-grade refining material. If there was a powerful refiner, refining a half-earth rank treasure wouldn't be a problem. But now, there was something even more precious than it. Could it be that thing? Someone was excited. "That's right, it must be that thing. A half-earth rank treasure." Only a half-earth rank treasure could surpass the Phoenix blood crimson gold. It had to be known that although the Phoenix blood crimson gold was good, it wasn't easy to refine it into a half-earth rank treasure. First, you had to have a refining grandmaster. And this kind of grandmaster level refining master hadn't appeared for a long time. Therefore, in this situation, a half-earth rank treasure was especially precious. On the crystal platform in front of them, the auction house elder smiled and said, "I believe everyone has already guessed. That's right, the item being auctioned this time is a half-earth rank treasure. Lone Star Sword." Hua! The crowd boiled over and the entire auction house fell into a frenzy. Lone Star Sword, it really is the Lone Star Sword. A half-earth rank treasure, I never thought that I would be able to see an earth rank treasure in my life. Many people were excited. They knew that this treasure would have a sky-high price and that the average person wouldn't be able to afford it. Even ordinary forces wouldn't be able to obtain it. But this didn't stop them from going crazy. Because just being able to see it was enough. On the crystal platform, the golden-robed elder took out a treasure box and slowly opened it. Suddenly, the void trembled and a powerful and cold aura was emitted. This aura was terrifying and instantly swept through the entire auction house. How terrifying! Everyone was shocked and their hearts trembled. They never thought that just a wisp of aura would be so powerful. The auctioneer also took a deep breath and slowly picked up the item. Suddenly, a simple-looking longsword appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The sword was 3 feet long and light blue in color. It was as dazzling as a star. On the sword's body, there were traces of mysterious flowing light. As it rotated, it emitted a terrifying aura. On the side of the sword, there were 2 ancient seals with the word Lone Star engraved on it. The auctioneer gently waved the sword. Suddenly, a ray of flowing sword energy gushed out and cut through the air. Accompanying it was a shocking killing intent. Ka ka ka! The air couldn't withstand it and shattered. This was just a normal attack. It didn't contain any spiritual power. One could imagine how terrifying it was. If it was swung at full strength, it would probably be able to cut through the entire auction house. After a slight movement, the auctioneer put down the Lone Star sword and then closed the treasure box. We've asked countless blacksmiths to examine this Lone Star sword. It's definitely a half-Earth rank treasure. Plus, I'm sure everyone has seen its power. It can't be fake. Alright, let's begin the auction. Half-Earth rank treasure, Lone Star sword. The starting price is 100 million mid-grade spiritual stones. Each bid must be no less than 10 million spiritual stones. 100 million. Everyone gasped, and their eyes were filled with madness. This number was an astronomical figure for ordinary martial artists. It was an existence that they could only look up to. As expected of a half-Earth rank treasure. It was indeed heaven-defying. 200 million! A faint voice sounded and immediately shocked everyone. F*CK, who is this? He doubled the price in an instant. What a big move, what a big move. That voice came from VIP room 6. Could it be Hong Wuji from Red Leaf Valley? Yes, it must be him. Only he would be so arrogant as to double the price right off the bat. In VIP room 6, Hong Wuji sat up straight. His eyes were shining as he stared at the crystal platform below. Lone Star sword. He had been waiting for this for so long. He hadn't made a move in the previous auctions because he was waiting for the Lone Star sword. Now, he could finally show his skills. Chapter 8:18. 200 million! Hong Wuji shouted out the price and looked down with a fiery gaze. He knew that this price couldn't scare off those who really wanted the Lone Star sword, but he had to show a strong attitude. That was the arrogance of the Red Leaf Valley. Sure enough, the price of 200 million shocked the crowd of martial artists below. But soon, someone called out a price. 210 million! 220 million! Soon bids came from all the VIP rooms, and the price of the Lone Star sword rose to 250 million. The crowd below was shocked. They could only look up at such a price, but the tense atmosphere made their blood boil. 270 million! Suddenly, a low voice rang out, bringing with it a vast amount of pressure. This aura, could it be a third-level honorable? Many people were shocked. The sharp sword intent in the sky made them unable to raise their heads. Honorable Maniac's sword! It's Honorable Maniac's sword! Many VIP rooms were filled with low exclamations. It was obvious that they were very surprised by the identity of the bidder. Honorables were very powerful, but there was another type of honorable that was even more powerful, and that was the titled honorable. These people were extremely powerful even among the honorables. Honorable Maniac's sword was such a warrior. He was a third-level honorable, and because of his violent sword techniques and terrifying combat strength, he was called Honorable Maniac's sword. I didn't expect Honorable Maniac's sword to come too. Yeah, looks like it's going to be more interesting this time. Honorable Maniac's sword is not only powerful, but he also has a violent temper. If he doesn't get the Lone Star sword this time, he'll probably go crazy. Many people discussed, and some warriors gave up bidding because of Honorable Maniac's sword's words. However, not everyone was afraid of Honorable Maniac's sword, and in front of such a half-Earth class treasure, everyone was even more crazy. At least, Hong Wuji didn't care. 300 million! He stared at the crystal platform below with a fanatical look in his eyes. The Lone Star sword must be mine! With the Red Leaf Valley behind him and his own strength, Hong Wuji wasn't afraid of Honorable Maniac's sword even though he couldn't beat him. Therefore, he immediately raised the price after Honorable Maniac's sword made his bid. Wow, Red Leaf Valley made another bid! How arrogant! Yeah, he doesn't even take Venerable Maniac's sword seriously. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect Hong Wuji to be so bold. The Maniac's sword Venerable also snorted coldly in VIP room number 3. He stood proudly, and his entire body was filled with an unyielding aura. 330 million! He bid again. 340 million! Other than Hong Wuji, there were other experts who bid. No one could remain rational in the face of such a treasure. The Huang family, the Ling family, and the other families were also bidding. Although he knew that they wouldn't be able to obtain this item, they still knew how to secretly raise the price. However, when the price reached 400 million, these families gave up. They had already raised the price by a lot. If they continued, they would be targeted. Now, the only ones left were the experts outside the Wind City. Among them, the Frenzied Sword Highness and Hong Wuji were competing fiercely. Apart from them, there were a few others who did not speak much, but each time they did, it was shocking. 400 million! In a VIP room, a young man with a cold face spoke. Apart from him, there was also a frivolous young man and a beautiful woman. The three of them were the 3 disciples of the Yen family who had entered earlier. It seemed that they were also here for the Lone Star Sword. Hearing the bid, the crowd was shocked again. This was because the voice sounded very young, and they could tell that it was a young man. For a young martial artist to bid such a price, it was obvious that he had an extraordinary background. Hong Wuji also frowned. He did not expect that there would be other young martial artists who dared to bid other than him. He sneered and shouted again. 420 million! 430 million! 450 million! The two of them competed, and neither of them gave in. The smell of gunpowder was strong. Who is this guy? How dare he compete with us? The cold young man frowned. As a disciple of the Yen family, even the Vientiane auction had to give him face. Now, someone dared to compete with them. This was a blatant provocation. Hong Wuji was also furious. As a disciple of the Red Leaf Valley, arrogance and haughtiness had always been his style. Now, someone dared to compete with him. He could not tolerate it. Therefore, he bid again. Apart from that, a middle-aged beauty and a mysterious old man bid and competed with each other. In an instant, the smell of gunpowder was strong, and the atmosphere in the auction house was extremely tense. 500 million! Honorable Maniac's sword spoke again, and everyone's eyelids twitched. 550 million! Hong Wuji did not back down, and he quickly bid. Silence, absolute silence. Many people gave up bidding. This price had stopped most of them. Even the disciples of the Yen family frowned. They were hesitant because of this price. I would like to see who dares to be so arrogant. The cold young man snorted. Someone dares to compete with us in When-Seeking City. He is courting death. All right, stop bidding. We will act according to the situation later. At this moment, the beautiful lady spoke. Kid, this sword is very important to me. Can you give it to me? I will compensate you. Honorable Maniac's sword said in a deep voice. I don't lack anything. I only want this sword. Hong Wuji rejected. Humph! In VIP room 3, Honorable Maniac's sword snorted, and his face turned gloomy. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and it was like a sword radiance. He did not bid again. Instead, a cold smile appeared on his face. Obviously, he wanted to kill Hong Wuji. In the Blood Realm, it was common to kill and steal. Although Hong Wuji was from the Red Leaf Valley, he was willing to do anything for the half-Earth rank artifact. As long as he got the Lone Star Sword, his strength would increase greatly. Moreover, in the Blood Realm, Red Leaf Valley might not be able to do anything to him. Therefore, he decided to kill Hong Wuji in an instant. Honorable Maniac's sword did not make a sound, and the others did not bid either. Perhaps they had the same idea as Honorable Maniac's sword. But no matter what, the whole place was eerily quiet. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect that even Honorable Maniac's sword could not compete with Hongwuji. Hongwuji, on the other hand, was excited. He clenched his fists, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Finally, after such a long time, he got the Lone Star Sword. 550 million, anyone else? The auctioneer asked. Seeing that no one answered, he slowly said, 550 million, going once. 550 million, going twice. 550 million, going thrice. Deal. Before the word deal could be shouted, the auction house's door suddenly opened with a bang. Then, a powerful aura and blazing light rushed in, causing the whole auction house to fall into a frenzy. Everyone turned to look. 1 billion! A sonorous voice sounded, and then a figure quickly walked in. Chapter 8:19. The person in the lead was a young man in a blue shirt. He had a handsome face and a sharp gaze. He walked over quickly with a supreme aura. I'll bid 1 billion! 1 billion! The crowd was shocked and could not believe it. Even the auctioneer was stunned. On one hand, he was shocked by the person's bid. On the other hand, someone who could enter the auction in the middle of the auction must have an extraordinary status. Humph, you'll lose your life if you make a false bid. A cold voice was heard. Many people sneered in disbelief. After all, 1 billion spiritual stones was an astronomical figure. Boom! 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 Boxes of spiritual stones flew out from the storage ring and filled the hall. Each box was shining brightly and made the void tremble. Soon, the entire sky was filled with spiritual stones. Do you think I'll lie? Lin Xian said disdainfully. The martial artist who mocked him earlier was speechless and snorted angrily. The others were shocked and dumbfounded. It was too shocking. It was the first time they had seen so many spiritual stones. Although Hongwuji had bid 500 million, it was just a number, and the crowd did not have a clear idea of it. Now, the sky was filled with spiritual stones and there were even more spiritual stones flying out from the storage ring. The scene was too shocking and unforgettable. Is it enough? Do you want me to take out all the spiritual stones? Lin Xian stood in the middle of the hall and said calmly. Yes, it's enough. The auctioneer took a deep breath and smiled warmly. Sir, please keep the spiritual stones. If the auction is successful, someone will come to receive you. The auctioneer's attitude was completely different from before. Lin Xian nodded and waved his sleeve, collecting the spirit stones that filled the sky. He did not go to the VIP room. Instead, he found a place to sit with Dong Fangxiong and the other two. The auctioneer took a deep breath and said loudly, 1 billion spiritual stones. Sir, you've bid 1 billion spiritual stones. Are there any more bids? Hearing that, the crowd fell silent. Even the forces in the VIP room did not make a sound. Hongwuji looked down, and his face was terrifyingly gloomy. He had already stood up from the soft chair and walked to the front of the crystal, staring down. His body trembled slightly. A terrifying aura and sword intent filled the air and froze the entire space. It's him! Hongwuji frowned. He naturally recognized Lin Xian, but he did not expect him to be able to take out so many spiritual stones. Young master, what should we do? At the back, the young woman with an oval face asked. This kid dares to fight with young master for something, he's really reckless. Why don't I go and kill him now? Reckless? Humph! Hongwuji laughed, his face carrying a hint of evil charm. You're right, he really doesn't know what's good for him. Just ignore him and let him bid. He'll soon know that the Lone Star Sword isn't something that can be bought with money. His words were filled with intense killing intent. It was obvious that he wanted to kill. Not only him, but the other experts who were bidding were also sneering. In VIP room number 3, Venerable Maniac Sword's eyes were filled with killing intent. He couldn't help but laugh wildly. Previously, he had been somewhat worried about losing to Hongwuji in the bidding. After all, Hongwuji was a member of Red Leaf Valley and had a special status. If he were to kill Hongwuji, the consequences would be dire. However, things were different now. He didn't know this young man who was bidding. Even the others didn't know him. This meant that the other party didn't have a strong background and was just rich. For such a person, it was fine to kill him. He posed no threat. Hee, it seems like the Lone Star Sword is destined to be mine. Venerable Maniac Sword sneered and sat down. Now, he just had to wait for the transaction to end. For a moment, countless pairs of eyes stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian naturally knew. However, even if he were to buy it secretly, he would be discovered. After all, such a precious artifact would attract everyone's attention. It was impossible to take it away without anyone noticing. Rather than that, he might as well take it openly. At least he could intimidate some martial artists who didn't know the truth. Moreover, he had 50 members of the Dragon Sword Pavilion. He was confident that he could bring the Lone Star Sword out. 1 billion, going once. 1 billion spiritual stones, going twice. The auctioneer said twice. He was overjoyed. This price was twice as high as the previous price, far exceeding his expectations. 1 billion spiritual stones, going thrice. Sold. A loud voice rang out, echoing throughout the auction hall. Countless people cried out crazily in disbelief. Exciting, too exciting! This was probably the highest bid in the Wanxiang auction in the past few decades. Hearing the auctioneer's voice, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. He had arrived late, so the Crimson Phoenix Blood Gold had already been sold. If he hadn't been strong, he might have even missed the Lone Star Sword. The current situation wasn't too bad. He just had to find out the whereabouts of the Crimson Phoenix Blood Gold. He would leave this matter to Yu Fei. As the Lone Star Sword was sold, the auction came to an end. The martial artists who had won the bid all stood up and walked towards the backstage. Lin Xian also stood up and walked towards the backstage. Just as he moved, he felt countless gazes on him. Some of them were extremely arrogant, and the killing intent in them was not concealed at all. Do these people really think that I'm easy to bully? Lin Xian sneered in his heart and took a step forward. Hongwuji was even more arrogant. He walked directly in front of Su Mo and exuded a strong killing intent. The killing intent was so strong that it caused the entire space to freeze. A sharp aura surged towards Lin Xian. Ka ka ka! Lin Xian's gaze was like a sword, piercing forward. It was extremely sharp, comparable to a treasure weapon. The two collided, producing a deep sound. The energy fluctuations caused the entire air to tremble. The surrounding crowd was shocked. They knew that the Lone Star Sword wouldn't be obtained so easily, but they didn't expect someone to make a move now. Boom! Seeing that someone had made a move, Dong Fang Xiong also stepped forward. A terrifying aura surged from his body, like a demonic mountain, enveloping the entire area. You want to fight? Let me take you on! However, Lin Xian stretched out his hand to stop him. The most important thing now was to obtain the Lone Star Sword. Otherwise, it would be meaningless to fight. Lin Xian ignored them and turned around, quickly walking backwards. Looking at his back, many people sneered. The killing intent in their eyes was not concealed at all. Lin Xian went backstage and there was a special envoy to receive him. Soon, he saw the auctioneer. Sir, this is the Lone Star Sword. The auctioneer was an old man in a golden robe. He flipped his palm and took out a treasure box. Then, the old man looked at Lin Xian with a smile. Lin Xian nodded and threw out 3 storage rings. 1 billion spiritual stones was too much. 1 storage ring couldn't hold it. The old man in the golden robe took the storage rings and checked with his soul power. He then smiled in satisfaction. 1 billion spiritual stones, not a single one less. Then, he handed over the treasure box in his hand. Now, the Lone Star Sword belongs to you. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.